for a few weeks, and I just was like, what do I even do? And then, a week later, hey, can we see a mock-up or whatever? And yeah, let me get it to you by Friday night, the end of the week. And so I kind of overthought it. I'm out with Kate at the Brimrock Mall, and I get an email at 5:30 on Friday night. Hey, we're all hanging out. Jake's here. We got the big screen up. Can you go ahead and just send over that mock-up link? We're in Miami, and this was 2 weeks before his fight. And I'm eating a churro, and I haven't really started. And so at the mall, and I go, oh, and Kate's like, what is wrong? I go, I kind of overthought this whole Jake Paul thing. I need to go work on it right now. Yeah. And so I emailed him, and I'm like, okay, give me 4 hours if you guys are going to be hanging out tonight a little bit at Jake's house in Miami, and I'll get it to you, and you can throw it up on the big screen and see what he thinks. So I went home.
What?
And I grinded so hard, and all the ideas that I'd been thinking about and not actually doing anything with just came to life. Put it all in a mock-up link using Adobe XD, sent it to Jake's team. I see that because it's kind of like Figma, or a good comparison would be Google Drive, where you can see other people in there.
Yeah.
I see a bunch of people pop in. I get one comment on it, and it's under Jake's name. It said, dope.
Get way excited when I jump in this chair. Hopefully I'm still in frame or focus or whatever. For some reason, before I start a podcast, I get a little bit jittery, really nervous. So that's just, I guess I'm just going to get used to this. That, or it's just like the thought of performing because I have fans now. I released my podcast last night, and it's a mix of emotions doing that. By the way, you're probably going to, whenever I am talking alone, just go ahead and tune this up to 1.2 or 1.5x on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever you guys are listening. Also, like and subscribe. I guess that's a thing. You got to do that. So if you're on YouTube, like and subscribe. If you're on Apple Podcasts, please rate, review. I don't know how. Figure it out. I've never rated a podcast in my life. Spotify's easy. There's 5 stars. Click on those. Hit the 5-star rating. Even if you don't think it's that good, just do it. It'll get better, I promise. And I'm going to laugh at some of my jokes today. I released that podcast to the world, which is about 1,500 people on my Facebook. And that's my world right now. And the support's been pretty phenomenal. I'm absolutely blown away by the support from everybody. I got 80 new listens, which isn't that much, but I've gained 10 or 15 new audience, I guess, on the analytics of my Anchor. That's what I'm using to post this podcast and everything. So guys, I just got to say thank you so much. It was nerve-wracking. First and foremost, what a lot of people need to realize is I'm in progress. I'm a work in progress. Everyone in this world is a work in progress. The original podcast. You should have plenty of time. How much time does it say on the recorder over there? Enough. All right, we're rolling, man. Welcome everybody. This is episode. I don't know which episode this is going to be yet. I guess it should be 9, but I'm going to do a solo. I was going to do a solo in between you and Luke, your brother-in-law, but we'll see what happens. So, all right, everybody, this is Reese Queen. We got him in the hot seat today, and we actually have Kyle here too. He's going to be our producer. He's going to be running everything, making sure that we're switching camera angles and everything like that. I guess when I say Reese Queen, you can go ahead and show him, and then when I say whatever, when I'm talking to the camera, you talk to me.
I already know.
Yeah, you got it. Kyle's got some experience in this, so we'll get it figured out. But
I've been here for 20 minutes. I can tell he's gonna have this down.
Yeah, I'm stoked. This is the most professional we've done it so far.
It feels exciting.
Yeah,
it feels exciting in here.
It's super cool. We got the lights. We got everything looks good. We got the right lenses on the cameras. I'm really stoked. But Reese Queen and I go a little ways back. When did we meet? What time was that?
When did I meet Drew Gerber?
Yeah, that's 2 or 3 years ago.
It's been at least 4 or 5 years because
really?
I met you. Okay, so I met you when I was 18.
Yeah,
I was headed out to Richmond to go do that stuff with startup that I worked at. And you gave me so much advice. And 2, you mentioned this on your show, but
Okay.
I thought you were 32.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
yeah.
it turns out we're like the same age. I
Yeah.
think you're like maybe like half a year older or
Yeah.
something like
I'm
that.
25, gonna be 26 next month. So
You were running your web design business and you were giving me all this advice on how to put deals together and stuff. And I got so pumped. I go,
funny.
oh my goodness. And I went up and I remember telling somebody, I was like, I just met the coolest guy ever.
Okay.
He had all this startup experience and now he just passed on the baton to me. I'm going to go crush it.
You want to just interview me today, dude? I mean, I love the way you're introducing me. That's great. Yeah. So Reese and I go way back. Immediately, we had like a kinship in a way because we were so stoked about just entrepreneurship, trying different things, kind of breaking the mold, not doing the typical. And it's not very typical for here in Montana either. Like,
Not yet.
it's kind of hard to find those people that are on a like-minded. And dude, you understood the power of the internet, and I was just starting to understand that and get more and more excited about it. So, that was really cool. So, I guess we'll just kind of talk a little bit about your background. Go over kind of what got you excited on your path. You currently own it's called Meeting Pair.
Meeting Pair.
Yeah, you own a company right now that is mostly cold email marketing. And
Yeah, it's a company that we're forming into more of a tech company that connects agencies to their next big project.
Agencies. Now, this is web design agencies?
Web design agencies. Because that's the background I come from.
Yeah.
So, current project right now, meetingpair.com. Feel free to check it out. We're going to be changing it dramatically because we're shooting a lot of content and stuff.
Yeah.
Which is going to be incorporated into the brand and sort of the product that we're building. But yeah, for right now, we connect digital agency owners to find their next big client. It's basically a lead generation machine that we're trying to create. But using technology to actually pair people up that would have never met before.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we definitely want to cover a little bit of that. But where did you get started first? Because man, there's something about the way that we both connected on my phone. I gotta turn this off really quick. Sorry about that. We connected on just vision and everything. But I kind of want to know where that came from.
Yeah.
Your family and everything. Your dad was a truck driver.
Mm-hmm.
Your mom's a nurse.
Yes.
And you kind of grew up kind of middle class, I'd say, a little bit here in Billings.
Well, and my parents were so smart.
Yeah.
So what happened is my dad got into real estate after the economy crashed because of the Bakken shutting down in, I don't know, the 80s, 90s, probably early 90s.
The Bakken shut down in 14, but
I'm talking about the older,
before,
maybe North Dakota somewhere.
Okay, yeah.
There was an oil rush in Billings, blew up Billings,
blew up again.
Then it shrunk when all the oil left. Every fourth house on a block was for sale.
Oh, wow.
He bought his first few houses for $25,000.
Wow.
On huge consignment.
Wow. I didn't know that.
So he was driving truck day and night.
Yeah.
Which was crazy. Hustler.
Yeah.
Like, talk about a guy that Gary Vee would approve of.
Yeah.
He, in his young 20s, hustling. You should work 3 jobs. You should be doing this. You should also be putting money away, buying real estate. And that's what he was doing. So he has that drive like nobody else I've seen. And so he still kind of has that. But what he's doing now is, well, I'll get into that. But the reason that we were able to buy a house, they were able to buy a house on the West End that's right next to Arrowhead Elementary over there, as a truck driver, as my mom doing it as a nurse. It just made really smart decisions and then got even that house on sale. So yeah, I grew up in a cool area.
And to give people like an idea, like the West End's kind of it's a little bit more expensive area and everything. Because I'm a real estate agent, I can't say exactly. It's a nicer area. So
and the people I got to grow up with were, I mean, half of them now are at Ivy League schools, Duke, stuff like that. And and like one of my good buddies is actually getting paid to go to Berkeley and study science and stuff.
That's
it's
crazy.
my best friend. Yeah. So these kids were smart.
Yeah.
And I grew up with them. And Jonah was part of that group too.
Okay.
Speaking of which, Jonah Pearl.
Yeah.
Small world.
Yeah, small world. A lot of those West End kids have gone on to do some pretty out of the world stuff.
Yeah.
And I got to kind of grow up in that too at Central High. A lot of those kids went on to do, I mean, I think there's one gal that got a full scholarship for both Duke and what's the one across the river from Duke?
I don't know.
The other college, but she got a full ride at both of those. And so she was literally doing 2 different schools. But anyways, that's off topic. But so where did you get this mindset then that you wanted to do something that wouldn't take so much time? I think it's probably similar to me. This is the way I would infer it, is your dad was gone all the time, working hourly, getting paid hourly. But he might have instilled a little bit of this passive income mailbox money idea.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So what kind of made you think that tech was the way to go? Because you also played baseball. You did a bunch of stuff.
I do in the baseball thing for me. I mean, I don't even really want to get into that. It's such a small part of my. It took a lot of time, but for who I am, like I was very unhappy actually playing baseball most of the time.
And you got into playing
and
college
people
ball.
that know me, from my teams and stuff. Like I wasn't always a happy baseball player. I was not happy to be sitting in the dugout 95% of the time.
Yeah,
I loved when I got to play a few times. So, anyways, just to that topic, I did play college ball even, which was just kind of lack of knowing yourself well.
At ASU?
No, tried to play on there, but what I was trying to do was go to a junior college.
Okay.
And they feed right into those kind of programs. New Mexico, even Alabama, a kid went from that school, and that you can jump to better schools if you're good.
Yeah.
But that's not what I wanted to do at all. It
Yeah.
sounded miserable. So the hustle, though, and the drive that I got, I think was really instilled from my dad at a young age, because I remember this vividly. We were driving out to shoot guns at about 5 years old. Out that there's like a shooting range out by the racetrack.
17 mile?
Probably.
Yep.
And I remember him talking about the debt we're in as a country, and him telling me as like I was 5.
Yeah.
Well, we're nearing $1 trillion in debt, this and that. Government's mismanaging money. And I remember immediately taking a responsibility for this and being like, I'm going to fix this problem. And he goes, that's silly, son, that we're almost in $1 trillion. That's more money than you could ever save in 100 million lifetimes.
Yeah.
But I remember even that whole rest of the day, I go, I'm going to figure out a way to make $1 trillion and pay back the government at 5.
Yeah.
And something about that made me really be interested in money-like opportunities. I don't know. It's just, sometimes you have it.
Yep.
As a kid or whatever. And they talk about that too. Every entrepreneur said, got to have the hustle. It's kind of in you. And it was definitely in me. So even at first grade, trying to sell pencils. I know I was on another podcast where you know this story, and I was talking about, I think we had like some clever idea. Color the pencils, put their name on it, give it to people for their birthday. Then other people would be like, great pencil. Where can I get one? And that was just a marketing idea.
Yeah.
And we ended up, I don't know, making some money, I guess. I don't really remember exactly what happened, but from then, just stuff like that. I mean, that's just weird to be doing.
That's such a cliche thing too, in a way, because you listen to a lot of these entrepreneurs. You and I both are huge on podcasts. Listen to Gary Vee. Listen to a bunch of different people.
The selling candy.
Yeah, selling candy, selling pencils. It's selling something in high school or middle school or something. And a lot of people make fun of it, like, oh yeah, like, so if you didn't sell candy or you didn't do that in high school,
don't try to be an entrepreneur now. You missed the boat, bud.
And it's it's kind of like, I don't know. I think that there is something to be learned from it, because it's like, what this kid is obviously thinking about something that a lot of other kids aren't thinking about. And I think it's the same thing as in real life too. Well, not real life. Later on in life, there's the consumers and then there's the creators. There's the market makers. And that, I think it actually goes to show, like, if you have a mindset of a market maker or mindset of a creator, that will change your outlook on life over
100%.
You know?
And this is the way that God made us, because, for example, if you're listening to the show and you're an engineer, a nurse, somebody in medical, what you feel like you do might be hard day to day, but at the end of the day, if I ask you, is what you are doing right now difficult? You would say no, because you're sort of made to do those things. And so for me, say I run a company and we're doing a few 100,000. People might go, wow, that's incredible. That must be so hard. But to me, this is super easy. It's just part of who I am.
Yeah.
You know, and so you kind of got to play into that and realize it's not necessarily better or worse.
Yeah.
A different entrepreneur that wants to go build tech might go build Dropbox. Yeah. Well, I'm over here doing agency stuff because I'm always looking for these opportunities.
Yeah.
Just a whole different thing. Or 4-hour work week versus the guy who wants to go start this thing that's going to get funded and then go public. That's a crazy lifestyle then.
Yeah.
And you're not going to prioritize certain other things.
Yeah. Yeah, there's people that are made to manage a lot of people and are okay with managing a lot of people. It'll come more naturally to them. And then there's people that want to just run one business, but it's going to make $500,000 a year for them.
And that's
easily.
Great for them. Yeah. Because you could be the CEO of some company that's doing $10 million a year. You might only take home $300,000.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, this is just the classic Gary thing too, which I need to stop talking about him, or you could flip stuff online or have a blog or a podcast about mental health and entrepreneurship that also does that much, just because you get a few people to pay you for their ads every year.
Yep.
It just depends on what you want to do and where you're sort of good at it.
Well,
doesn't even make it better or worse.
Exactly. It's your lowest barrier to entry and what makes sense to you and is worth getting rejected for. And if it's something that you find enough joy in that you can get rejected over and over again, but you keep trying.
Yes.
That's really what determines what you're going to be good at, because it's got to be something that you enjoy enough or you find easy enough when you do find success that the rejections just kind of wash away, because there will be rejection in everything you do. Even if you're the best in the world at it, someone's going to go, nah, kid doesn't have it. You know, I don't know if I trust him. You might just not vibe on a personality. And that's a whole nother thing, is just your personality could really be the only factor that determines whether your service gets hired by somebody or not, because you relate in a different way than another type of personality. If you're like a type A, hard hitter, blah, 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 there's some people that will never work with you purely based on your personality and how you've evolved that mindset and everything. Where if you're just a more easier, laid back person providing the same service, you will find a whole nother market.
Sure.
It's a thought, but it's interesting.
Well, and anyways too, I want to digress off that point.
Yeah.
And go into
we can go all day.
This is my show. I'm interviewing you today.
Well, let's go back. Oh, geez, man, I get so excited I start talking with my hands. Let's go back a little bit, because we gotta kind of validate why we've come up with these mindsets. We aren't just repeating a bunch of Gary Vee jargon. Into. We've actually put a couple of these things into practice.
Yes.
So you, in high school, you're a bit of a whiz kid. Okay, we're gonna talk about this.
Okay.
I'm gonna bring you up. Your job is to make yourself look humble to the audience. So I'm gonna pop it up a little bit here. But
give me a home run. Give me a softball.
So
here.
You're playing ball. You spend a lot of time doing that in high school. You have to get into college.
Sure.
But on the side, you have this entrepreneurship mindset, and you start doing what I mislabeled it the other day. I thought you were drop shipping, but you were doing.
Dude,
Amazon.
I don't drop ship anything.
Yeah. What is this Amazon business that you had? Okay. We're talking $25,000 a month.
Yes,
something like that.
That is correct. That is correct.
Sophomore year, junior year?
Junior year.
Junior year.
Junior year, yeah.
All right, now give us straight facts.
Okay, straight facts on it. What I got into at that point is what really developed my mindset, though, to realize that your time doesn't have to be tied to dollars.
Yeah.
And that happened to me in high school. Because what happened is, well, actually happened a little bit before that, and this will make a ton of sense to people. In middle school, went to Will James, which is a school around here. I started ordering some products from China. Monster Power Balance bracelets.
Okay.
Like Monster Energy themed.
Okay.
They were cheap from China. They were 29 cents. But at Shields at the time, they were selling for $35.
Okay.
So what I did is I ordered 200 of them. Or no, maybe it was only 10 from eBay.
Really?
Just bought them on eBay, and I said, these are knockoffs for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just going to sell them to a few people because I'll go, hey, man, it's $10.
Yeah.
Want it? And then from there, and I got this idea actually from another kid that was a year or two older than me that was actually doing it a little bit at a higher level. And I just said, well, why can't I do it to my friend group?
How did you find that kid?
Jake Vopel. Do you know him?
Was he in town or what?
Yeah, no, he's just one grade older than me. And he was doing the whole order stuff on eBay too. And then I go on eBay and I type in 10 pack of bracelets or 30 pack of bracelets. It's PCS on eBay.
Yeah.
10 piece, whatever. It's the way that the Chinese break down the labels and stuff. So learn about all that. And then you can just buy them. Like, it's nothing special. I could buy 10 for, or how much is that? If it's 29 cents, I mean, I was probably buying
$2.90 or something like that.
Or what is that? Probably 30 for $10.
Yeah.
So why not buy a 30 for the same price I would have paid him? And then it just kind of made sense. It was like, these are disproportionately valuable to people. Mm-hmm. So then I just bought them, sold them to a few friends. Then
so you're literally, you're holding them in your hand.
Yeah.
You're selling them to friends. You didn't actually sell them
Bro,
online.
check this out, dude.
That's
hey,
it.
Do you want one? They're
Really?
$10. Meet me after class and I'll give you one after gym class.
Nice.
That's where I'd sell a lot of them.
Nice.
Because you're out there and, you know, if you're kind of an influencer for them because they make it seem like you're going to be more balanced.
Yeah.
So if you're just having a good time with it and they're like, hey, check this out.
I remember these. I remember these.
Yes.
Yeah. And
I had done
was
stuff like that.
Yeah.
In those years.
We were wrestling. I was doing wrestling and at about that time. And I remember these kids wearing them and stuff. And they're like, man, I'm so much better.
So much better on my feet right now.
Yeah.
I remember
down right now. I'm so like solid right now.
Yeah. I feel balanced, bro.
Like,
I'm 100% here right now.
Yeah.
You're like, dude, you're 13.
Yeah.
This isn't some getaway camp rescue, bud. Just be you, all right?
Yeah.
So, anyways, so we go into it, and I got a buddy who goes, those are dope. And I think he'd already bought like 10 of them. And he's like, hey, can I sell those for you? Because I love them. So I go, yeah, let's go. And so I give him a bunch of them. He comes back at the end of the day with a wad of like $400. Yeah, in 8th grade. And I go, well, dude, take half. He goes, no, I don't want any. And I'm like, dude, what?
Yeah.
If I bring you more tomorrow, are you going to keep selling them? And he's, yeah. Next day, like 200, 100. And then he got back into some big numbers. I remember making $1,000 off that in middle school.
What?
That was about all it was. It was just a wad of cash I had at the end of the day. So had that happen too, which was just crazy to me that somebody, it's Noah Huertas too, by the way. Shout out to Noah. I still see him, right? He's around town.
And that was who was selling them?
That's who was selling them.
Was he skimming off the top or something? Or
no, dude, there would sometimes be more money than what I thought should be in there.
Really?
And later I got into that with another kid at senior to get into a new district.
Wow.
Because I had a good buddy that went to senior. Hey, you take these over there. I'll give you. It was kind of like a little mini,
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to say it on here, but it was like a little operation. I don't know, of selling little knickknacks.
Yeah.
I don't,
I love it.
So anyways, that's where it all started. And that's where learning how to buy stuff from China. Okay.
Yeah.
Because Alibaba, which is a huge company now, they're the third or fourth biggest e-commerce company in the world behind Amazon, eBay, and I think it's Alibaba, which is funny because any white label product that you buy on Amazon is from Alibaba.
Yep.
Using the same method I was using in 8th grade, where you just buy a bunch and then put them on Amazon for a much higher price.
Yeah.
So I said, hey, well, I've already got 400 bracelets sitting around. Why don't I list some on Amazon?
Yeah.
Then this didn't come until a little bit later in life. 3 or 4 years later, I wasn't really selling like anything in those early days of high school, freshman, sophomore year. I was playing basketball, doing stuff like that. I hit a point though where as a 15-year-old, I remember asking my mom for like $20 to go. And I used to love I'm always a convenience guy. I love eating out and just grabbing a bite to eat somewhere. That's one of my biggest things. And so I love doing that even when I was in high school. I stopping by Jimmy John's or whatever. And I do that so much that I loved having just money on me. I remember asking my mom, she's like, what do you need it for? And I was like, well, I want to go conveniently grab bites to eat instead of like hang out at school and eat the cold lunch there or whatever. And kind of weird. But she of course gave me the money, but I felt horrible asking for it.
Yeah.
And it crushed me. And I had a buddy, John, and he's like, that's not that weird that you had to ask your mom for money. You're 15.
Yeah.
But I was crushed by it because I had always had money.
Yeah.
And it's not even like we were not well off at all, because you hear these podcasts of just, complete poverty.
Yeah.
Like, no, not like that at all. I just remember feeling, man, I feel really bad and guilty. I never want to feel like this again. I never want to feel like this again.
Yeah.
It's such a dramatic story, though.
Your family must have talked a lot about money, though. Like how hard it is to earn it or something, right? Like how hard it is to get it.
I don't think it was my parents' fault for making me an entrepreneur.
Really?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
It's weird because that's such a dramatic story.
Yeah.
To be like, and so it's just weird.
Yeah.
And they kept the money very private. They're very, very good at that and never brought stuff up at all. Like they're incredible parents.
Yeah.
So it was never from them really, but I remember that being a turning point for me. Being like, I always want to be able to have
some cash.
What
were you spending your $400 on? This is a complete side note. What were you spending $400 on when you were making that money and everything from the bracelets in your middle school? What are you spending that money on? What are you doing with that money?
Gosh, I don't even remember.
Sure you blew it.
Oh man. I mean, I don't know how long you want this podcast to be, because I have all these other side stories that broke off from that.
Oh, yeah.
What I did is I started buying BMX bikes online, reviewing them, becoming an affiliate, and making a ton of money that way too.
Yeah.
So I don't even love BMX biking at all.
Yeah.
Never did.
Yeah.
But I would get on camera and I'd go, what up, guys? I'm BMX Reese, and I'm going to make this video today talking about this. Yeah. I think I had a stage name like that too, like BMX. I'm BMX boy. What up?
Really?
In the neighborhood, I'm gonna show you guys how to trick this thing out. Honestly, kind of like Viheza, which is another guy we'll talk about with the skate videos. But I would review them, and I would use the affiliate because I would go. It was thehouse.com was my biggest affiliate. I think I was their biggest affiliate that they ever had too.
Yeah.
So thehouse.com, if you go on there, it's just like longboards, skateboards, vans. You can get boats, like little mini kayaks, stuff like that, just outdoor stuff. They're based out of Minnesota. So they had a bike, the Sapien. It was a cool BMX bike, and I bought it with all that money, a couple $100. And I reviewed it, and if I told somebody, hey, if you use my code, you'll get 30% off at checkout. But I got a $150 gift card to thehouse.com.
Really?
So what happened is one day we checked the mailbox. There's 4 gift cards in there for $150. And I go check my YouTube channel. I didn't even looked at it. Oh, man.
So you had a YouTube channel back then?
Yes.
And everything. We're playing with that.
Yeah. at a very young age, I started on my iPad.
Yeah.
And I would just go in the basement when no one was home, or I just hope no one was listening, because it sounds so weird when you start making a video.
Oh yeah, it's the weirdest thing in the world.
I would take all these takes too. Yeah. And I would set up little lighting studios. I've always had to set up box lights at my house, since I was like 12.
Oh.
Because I always wanted to be a YouTuber, bro. I don't know, how long have you been wanting to be in YouTube?
Man, it didn't happen until I always thought about maybe being like a movie star or something like that, or being someone of influence. But I mean, I didn't really realize how bad I wanted to YouTube until probably I was 2015, 2016.
Okay.
I started thinking about it. Because when I was a kid growing up, we didn't have, I mean, I'm only a couple years older than you, or a year and a half or whatever, but it's just a different mentality. Tech was not a thing. Like, I remember getting a computer when we were like 13, 14 years old that we could actually use. And I just don't remember having tech really as a big thing in my house. I mean, I grew up riding horses, building fence, just doing a lot of mechanical outdoor stuff, and I wasn't playing baseball. We were doing that, and I love video games. So I started hanging out with a buddy of mine that built computers and everything, and so we go over and play games. And I remember playing Call of Duty and stuff, but I never thought of it as something you could ever make money at, because in my household it was kind of a shame thing. Like, you just sit inside, play video games all the time, or you just sit inside. It's like you're being lazy. You're being not very productive. Productive is going outside, painting a house or something.
Yeah.
So, but that's why I'm trying to relate a little bit with what you had for your money. I correlated money with time immediately when I was younger, because my dad was leaving all the time. I hated that. So I always correlated with, if I could make more money, I can bring my dad back, bring my dad home.
Wow.
And I was very time aware. Like, I'd watch movies that were like about the end of the world, and I'd freak out. Like, 11, 12 years old, and I'd be freaking out about this. Like, why are you guys watching this? Like, we're running out of time, because it had been expressed so much to me. I lost my I didn't have any grandparents because I didn't have time. Because my parents started too late having children. We didn't have enough time with my dad because we didn't have enough money. We didn't have enough time with other people because we didn't have enough money to be able to have time with other people.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting the way, and I would call it a little bit more shame, a little bit based, but I wouldn't say it was my parents' fault, but my parents made me very aware of why we didn't have time. And I just immediately correlated time and money.
With that, how it's affected you from now, though, as an adult, if that's the way you were as a kid, how do you see your time?
Well, the biggest thing I'm still trying to deal with and get over is the shame of wasting time. But the last 3-4 years, I've found out you can waste a lot of time, and not even waste it. You can, if you're more efficient with the amount of money you can make when you are working, which I keep saying over and over in all these podcasts. I found a way to make $120,000 in 4 or 5 months driving a truck, and then the rest of the year I'd be trying to devise a plan that would not require me to go on leave for 4 or 5 months.
And then what would happen?
I'd
just kind of blow the time.
You'd survive through it. You lose a lot of money on insurance, operating costs, just keeping all of your certifications up. You burn through that, because if you take your trucks off insurance, you'll lose your rates, and it'll take a while to build your rate. Get your rate lower again. And when you're talking $2,000, $3,000 a month in insurance rates at 20 years old, that's pretty high. But there's no other thing I could find that I could go get in a truck and make $15,000, $20,000 a month.
Right.
And so, I enjoyed in some instances the people I worked with, but then when I actually just had the truck and I didn't have those people around me, but I kind of screwed off in a way that doesn't look like screwing off to a lot of people, but I was screwing off in my head, was hanging out with people and working on heavy machinery, working in big businesses that I really had no reason to be there, because I didn't really enjoy it enough to stay there. I just liked having people around me. I just liked having people with me and that are willing to take a risk on me and let me go and operate big, heavy machinery. It was kind of an ego thing.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
And then the bigger the deals I could get, the cooler it was. I mean, if you're running $300,000-$400,000 piece of machinery and you're 18, 19, 20 years old,
is it good?
It's all right.
Okay.
But at the same time, if you were to get hired by somebody else, you're only going to get paid $20, $25 an hour.
Oh.
And the only way you make any serious money is when you take on the liability of the machine. And I tried that one summer.
Dude, that scared me so much.
Yeah, for a $200,000, $300,000 machine, I leased it out at 18 years old company promptly ripped up my contract after they found out how old I was.
Because they just thought you were
and they
32.
made a buddy of mine go and sign the contract instead. It was very interesting. But
Yeah.
anyways, we're divulging here. But that's my correlation with time and money. And that's kind of what I got it from. And that's why I started at 12, 13, 14 years old. I started my first tech company, or I thought I was starting it, perceived to be starting it. And because I knew that there was ways to scale up making money. And that was having more reach. So the internet got me more excited about that. We were playing around with Bitcoin and stuff in 2010, 2011. And then I got into that whole little tech company startup thing because I found out working for somebody else was miserable. But then after that failed, I was like, it's miserable, but I think I have to do it. I think I have to work for someone else to learn, get the experience. That was the shame speaking. And then I have to get good enough at one thing to run a business eventually, because it sounds like I'm not interested enough in tech to be successful.
Yeah. There's a lot of pitfalls to starting something like that without
any experience
or like relationships to
with
build
other
the
people
sales.
that know about that stuff. Just nothing but blue collar in my family.
I had started an outreach campaign in Montana at some point, talking to companies similar to the one you were looking to build.
Mm-hmm.
And the people here are so almost ashamed to be in Montana.
Yeah.
I would hit them up and I would say, hey, I'm just from Billings. Yeah. I'm down the street. Wanted to know if you'd get a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And they go, no, you're not worth my time. We only work with big clients from big cities. And I go, who do you think I'm trying to connect you with?
Yeah. Yeah.
Local people?
Yeah.
So I feel like I don't think my thing would have been what it was either. Because it's funny, I ended up starting what you basically were starting before, just in a e-com space.
Yep.
Which was a whole different world, because I feel like it'd be tough doing it the local way.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what I was trying to do. I literally hired kids from my high school to develop a whole website, do all of this stuff. I had a gal that really liked Adobe Illustrator. I hired her.
Wow.
I used a bunch of money.
But that's a lot of overhead.
It was a ton of overhead.
Because my people, when I did mine, were all from Ukraine and places like that where I'd pay them freelance.
Yeah.
And there's some talented people willing to work for very cheap because of their economy and the difference in economics.
Well, and that was my issue, was I didn't even know what I was really building. I just knew that it was going to be like Facebook. It was going to help teens and employers, employers to find good teens instead of those kids having to go to school. They can go and actually get real life experience working for an employer.
Okay.
So
it was all Take Initiative.
This was Teen Initiative back then.
Teen Initiative. Okay. Yeah. I remember you telling me this story for everyone listening, but you basically, I thought you built like a web design company in a way, or that's what it was, but that turned
afterwards.
That was after.
That was after. Gotcha. So when I was in high school, second year of high school, I want to say sophomore year, I worked for a guy that I didn't get along with.
Yeah.
Crushed me. And so I thought, okay, I know that I want to work. I know that there's other kids out there that want to work. I know that they want to gain experience. They want to be able to do stuff, but they got to be able to do it in a good environment. So we got to find good employers for kids. Because I had this complex too, where I watched other family members go to college, and we were definitely more the blue collar family that always worked, hourly wages and stuff like that. And I felt really put down in a way by the way that everyone talked about all the kids that went to college in my family that were from other families. And I was like, I wanted to prove that wrong. Like, there's ways to do really well. I was on the trade thing. Like when I started watching Dirty Jobs or like Mike Rowe when I was 17 years old, 16, 17, 18 years old, I was like, he's literally doing like he's doing what I want to show other people is you can make so much money in electrical, plumbing, blah, blah, blah. And you can find ways to set your own hours, create your own business, do all of that stuff. So I wanted to show other kids how to do that. Like, look, it's not about college. Like everyone and their dog's got a liberal arts degree, but no one can find jobs. And I could see that at 11, 12 years old. And I'm like, I know that there's people out there that are making a couple $100,000 a year in these trades that no one really wants to do.
No, it's ridiculous.
Like I saw the trend of everyone having to go to college, and I was like, there's going to be a huge gap here, and no one respects this gap.
Yeah, especially in 2014? Because
even before that, 2011.
To me, this conversation is so outdated. Wow. I mean, if you're still thinking about going to college and you're not sure what you want to do, I think they've gotten enough warning signs at this point.
And the debt and everything.
It's one of the craziest things ever. And I used to be really passionate about it too because, and this, I'll go back to the story. So high school really opened up Amazon stuff.
Yep.
I'm sure you can guess where that story went. Put the stuff on Amazon, didn't sell for a while, started selling like crazy.
And that's where you did your $25,000.
So, and that was to
situation.
another bracelet product. I
Yep.
can't say which one. I did get notified for copyright infringement on that one.
Nice.
Yeah.
That means
really
you did
good.
it right.
That means you did it right.
Someone's eye. Someone's looking.
At 16, you're not thinking, copyright infringement.
Nah. I was a worrywart, but that's good.
Yeah,
that you
for
aren't.
me, I wasn't. I'll try it.
Done.
And plus, I was like the only one on Amazon selling these, and it was a really high margin product.
Yeah.
So it was 62 cents or somewhere in the 60s,
Mm-hmm.
depending on how many I bought.
Mhm.
If I buy 300-400, goes down in the 50s.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was selling them, Target, all these big name brands had just been hacked.
Yeah.
So who do they trust? Instead of going to some e-com site, they go to Amazon, and they look for it there. I was the only one selling a really hot bracelet product that I'll also say it's the balance of opposites. It's got mud from Mount Everest and sand from the Dead Sea.
Yeah.
Balance of opposites. You can look it up and you'll know exactly which one it is. But I was buying those and a note, it was the same type of thing, but that's what it was. Listed it and it sold like crazy at a $32 price point.
Wow.
And I'm talking
insane.
20, 40 orders a day.
So you just had cases of these things sitting in your house.
And every week from China, open up that.
Dude,
and
what did your parents think about this? You're selling narcotics or what? Dude,
they were freaked out. But my mom would always help me because here I am, I'm playing baseball as well.
Yeah.
Going to school.
Yep.
And taking economics classes and stuff. And I remember I would show kids, I'd be like, you want to see something cool?
Yeah.
I'd go on the computer, I'd log into Amazon. What do you think about that?
So you could
$29,000 in 30 days.
I want to hear your mindset on this. Were you even a decent student? Because there's no way I was a terrible student.
I wasn't.
And that was okay because you're just an athlete? Like that was
that was kind of the expected thing. And
yeah.
not only that, but I always found a way to get it done. And I, probably similar to you, because we're both pretty good talkers.
Yeah.
I'd go in after class.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm really struggling mentally with this. And something about this is giving me a lot of trouble. I would love to get your feedback on how I could improve here.
I got bad.
And they were going, well, I noticed you cheated on the last test, so let's start there.
Yeah.
But then they would let me
paying kids to do my homework.
Yeah.
I was
right. That same kind of thing. And just kind of talking away to be like, yeah, let me retake it, do a little studying this time.
Yeah.
Get the grade up to a B or even an A sometimes. Yeah. So that was my story. I think I finished high school just below B, just right at B average. So not like B minus.
For GPA, like 2.8, 2.9. No, it'd be
it was in the threes.
3.5. Yeah. 3.4, 3.5.
Yeah. It was the mid threes. So
I graduated 2.7.
That's doable. It's like a C minus, isn't it?
Yeah, dude. They got me out of there because
that's a C.
I was starting to get in some bad stuff. But yeah.
Huh. Well, anyway, so was in school doing that whole thing.
Cool.
Anyway, and I realized that there's a lot to this whole not needing to do the hourly thing, which is what you're talking about.
Yep.
Still went and played baseball anyways.
Yeah.
Said, I don't really know what else I want to do. Looking back on it, I think if I would have stayed here, I probably would have started trying to create businesses that live here.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people in town, we all know people, you'll probably have them on their show that have very successful brick and mortar type stores that are our age even or a little older, or real estate or things like that. I think I would have gotten into that more. But being that I moved and was on my computer all the time too, down there in Phoenix, that's all I did is I built websites for people and I started drop shipping a little then and was like, man, I can't do this. Taking it back to the point about jobs, college, what the heck is all this even going to equate to in the end? Because I wasn't even paying anything to go there. It was $2,000 a year to go to a JUCO.
Wow.
They're very, very, very inexpensive. So that wasn't a big deal. I was just paying that myself. So I had no debt on it or maybe very little. I don't remember how their whole system worked or whatever. Yeah. But from there, I said, I have got to figure something else out because I do not love sitting on the bench because I was a pitcher only. Mm-hmm. I got to do something that's not just go to college 4 years, hope that I can be a water boy for a tech company. Why don't I just go I was literally thinking about it one day on the field. I go, there's a really good consulting firm down the road. I might just walk in there and see if I can shuffle papers for them and be their free assistant for 6 months. Yeah. And learn something. Yep. I know the internet stuff. If I mix that with some real startup world experience, I just knew that was going to be cool.
Yeah.
from that age, because I knew that I wasn't smart enough to actually go do the really digital, like drop shipping and all of that.
Yeah.
I knew I had to take it a little more traditional.
Yeah.
But not all the way to the point of that kind of stuff, but also not going through college. That's way too traditional for me.
Yeah.
Because it's all about experience.
Yeah.
My grandma one night sends me a clip from Tucker Carlson. and she does send a lot of things over email, just random articles and a lot of political stuff that she finds, and it's great. But so a lot of times I don't prioritize those emails necessarily until I have some time to go through the stuff that she's sending. But in that case, I clicked on it right away, and there's this cool young guy on the show. Hey, what's going on? If you're thinking about not going to college, we've got this thing called Praxis. We plug you into a job. We give you all the tools so that you don't have to worry about a thing. You just follow our program. And it was like a program, almost like a course. And we're going to plug you in with a company. But guess what? We've got a very low acceptance rate. So you got to come do this, kind of go through their funnel. And I did it. So it's called Praxis. Discoverpraxis.com is the website.
Okay.
And went through the program, and not only that, the interviews they asked, the kind of questions, what are you working on? What are you reading? How, what's your mindset like? All that stuff. Love those questions so much that I remember telling my mom at the time, if I don't get into this program, I need to find something like it or even build something like it, because this is next level.
That's cool.
I'm not going to another year of school because these guys want to get me there of what I'm already trying to do.
Yeah.
The other way is just going to cost a ton of money, because I was going to go to ASU the next year because I was getting sick of going to JUCO. It was just down the road.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, well, not $90,000 in debt, and they're actually going to pay me to learn? Heck yeah. And so, no, I could not be more on the not college boat if you don't know what you want to do.
Yeah. If you don't,
like the troves.
That's always the key. You gotta say that. You gotta say that.
The troves are going to go to Bozeman we're in Billings.
Yeah.
Troves go to Bozeman, and it's like, if you're not going, that sucks.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing though too, is I saw the kids that were choosing college, and I was a super realist kid. Like, I was a kid, like, the world's like collapsing. We need to figure out how to make money faster, like be realistic about what happens when stuff hits the fan. And I got pulled out of Lockwood Middle School, and I decided to I chose to go to Central. My parents gave me the option. My dad was making enough money, and he was really heavy into security and intelligence stuff. So I was thinking that I was maybe going to go that route, CIA, intelligence, Air Force, or I was going to become an attorney. I really liked talking. I was really liked having that kind of stuff. But I saw the kids that were going there, and dude, it was like they couldn't change oil on their car. They couldn't saddle a horse. They couldn't build fence. They didn't know anything about the real world. So to
you, that was the currency.
They didn't know anything about the real world. Yeah.
Right.
To me, I was like, if any of you kids were dropped off in the middle of nowhere, you guys would be screwed if you didn't have.
Well, yeah.
If you didn't have.
I would say a lot of people would be.
And I would be. Yeah. And I would have been too.
No, but I feel like you would have connived your way into something.
Yeah.
I'll fix your truck for whatever. Yeah.
Because my dad had taught me so many different things, and my mom had taught me so many different things. And I just looked at these kids in a way, and I was just like, you guys have no idea what the real world's like, do you? Like, you don't like, well, first off, I'm hearing war stories from Afghanistan, Iraq from my dad. I'm hearing like horrible things about growing up from my mom and different situations and things like that. And I'm hearing like these things about life, hard things, people living, don't know day to day what's going to happen, just hard stuff. And that was the world I grew up in. It was like you're picking a rose from a manure pile in a way. Yeah. My dad tried the best he could to give us a pretty good, pretty fun life and let us kind of be whimsical about it. But I just looked around and I was like, man, these kids have no idea what the real world's like. So that was a hard thing for me, was trying to relate to them. And that's the reason why that college thing didn't make any sense, because these kids are going there for an experience. They had no idea what they wanted to do, but they wanted to go party, whatever, and do all this stuff. It was an experience that their parents are going to pay for. And I thought probably what they're actually learning is maybe a year and a half worth of actual, education. If you actually sat down and that was your whole life and you did that for 60 hours a week, like there can't be more than a year and a half of actual knowledge there. And everyone else just says it's an experience.
Sure.
And I was just like, man, if that's my experience, I'm going to be so hooked on Coke in the first year. It's insane. Because I was already partying and doing some stuff like that when I was 14, 15, 16 years old. 17 years old. I'd be hanging out with older people, and I could walk into any freaking bar and order a drink. Like, I looked older.
Yeah, that was part of the thing too, because when you say real life, right? To those people, because I know them really well, what they're living is their real life.
Yeah.
You just saw a much harder version of it that you probably, had no business seeing at the ages that you experience those things.
Yeah.
So to you, it's easy to judge those people and be like, dude, you don't even know how to experience what I just went through. And I don't, and so, because when you're talking about someone getting dropped off somewhere, I full-heartedly believe that you would figure out a way home. Because you would look at an abandoned truck and you say, I'm going to fix that up. And if I can fix it, you'll give me a ride. Yeah. And then they would do it.
Yeah.
So just to unwrap that too, because I think it's important to realize that your past is a lot different than people you might be thinking you had a really similar past with. And it'd be easy to be, because they also have their own things too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. We've talked about this.
Yeah.
So we were in it's this thing called Radical Mentorship, which I really enjoyed. It was kind of a Bible study, but it was one of the first Bible studies that I feel like we actually got down to brass tacks with a lot of the guys. And we were put in a group that had guys that were high functioning? What do you call them? Like they're guys that are the same age as us that are just...
Oh, same age as us.
I mean, well, not same age, but I mean...
Are you talking about our mentors?
Yeah. No, not our mentors, but our mentors were fantastic. But the group of guys that we were put in were high... we were picked, actually. It's kind of crazy when you think about how that group started, because it's almost kind of like the Giver situation almost. Yeah.
a
little bit. Yeah.
Kind of, which is cool. And I don't mean that any harm, because I love the program.
Yeah.
What happened is, I don't know about you, you just get an email from someone at our church that said you're invited to do this thing.
Yeah.
I think they even made some guys interview for it. Did you get interviewed?
I think that one of our mentors, because I had met with him and asked him for help. Yeah. I think that's the only reason I got into that group, was he just said, this kid's got to be in here.
Because there's one really awesome person at our church. And for those of you that know me, it's the guy who married Kate and I at our wedding. And we just really look up to him as a spiritual leader. And he apparently picked him and Nate, Pastor Nate Petzel at Faith Chapel, picked all these people, hand-selected via word of mouth. Yeah. They just asked people, do you know this guy?
Yeah.
Do you want him in? And then, so if Tony knew you, he's going to say, absolutely, Drew needs to be in this program.
Yeah.
But anyways, it was different than anything else I've ever been a part of, because like you said, these people are all trying to grow, and our mentors, man, they were
phenomenal,
incredible business leaders.
Yeah.
Great,
like
spiritual,
big in the community.
Oh, big in the community. I mean, I don't even know if we should say who it is, but
I don't know either.
Because
yeah.
Oh, yeah. We did sign a thing.
Yeah.
We might actually have to cut this out.
Well, maybe.
Probably not. Let's not get into who it is or what's going on there, but great group.
It doesn't sound I don't want to make it sound like the Illuminati or anything, or like it's some weird cult
Drew and
thing.
I are Christian.
Yeah, we're Christian. We're Lost Christian. It's non-denominational church situation. Like, we're just trying to figure out how to navigate and also be successful in a way.
Yes.
And they put together this program that was very helpful. I never could find people that I was on the same level with.
Absolutely.
Both faith-based and wanting to have success in their lives. So, because I've always grown up.
One or the other.
Way. Yeah, one or the other.
Are you going to be
a pastor?
Humble?
Yeah.
Or not.
Yeah, exactly. That was a thing.
And it's funny, because nowadays entrepreneurship is changing.
Yeah.
Where you actually, it's honored to be a humbled CEO.
Yeah. And you have to have relationship skills and a transparency and an honesty and all of this stuff. You aren't just some crook multi-billionaire that just builds everything off the backs of other people. Like, you won't survive in a YouTube space, because people will figure that out. Like, you know what reality TV is, and you know what a real person is. And especially in these long form conversations, like when you're talking 2-3 hours, like, you have to be a somewhat solid person that actually has decent values and has decent ideals in the world in order for people to even listen to you. Otherwise, they're going to be like, you're a crack of shit, like, or you're not real at all. And this group really helped me out, because it let me realize that you can be a sensible human being, in the sense that you can have a successful business and still be a good person and give back to the community and do very well. where it was like, if you're wealthy, you obviously got it crookedly. If you're not wealthy, you're probably a humble, good, morally good person.
Yeah.
This thing helped us realize that. And what I also realized in that the whole connection here was yeah, we could say that we stopped for a quick break. I lost my train of thought. I had to go to the bathroom. Everyone had to use the bathroom. And then we started talking about other stuff because we so thoroughly enjoy hanging out with each other. This is the first time Kyle and Reese has met. And I've been wanting to hang out with Reese for a while anyway. So we just get excited and talk about stuff off camera, guys. So, but what I'll finish my last thought and then we'll roll back into where we were. So my whole conversation about that radical mentorship and all that, we were talking about experience and how people have different experiences. And like my experience in high school and growing up was different from these other kids, but that was their real world and my real world were two different things. However, it is completely possible and we learned this from this, radical mentorship group that we were in, completely possible for people to have different backgrounds and different experiences that one person might think is soft, or one person might think, well, that's super brutal. That's really crazy that you come from that. And then other kids could maybe grow up a little bit more sheltered or whatever. But it's in their head, those mountains that they're climbing. I mean, it's all about perception, and they can still arrive at the same conclusion in the end. So one thing might just be getting out of your room and not playing video games, which to some people is like, oh, that was how hard your life was. And other people could be, it's figuring out what scrap of food is safe to eat out of the garbage can. And at the same time, you both have to realize there is good dopamine or cheap dopamine, and then there's good dopamine. And you've got to figure out how to find a healthy balance in your life, no matter what your perceived mountains are to you, the mountains you got to climb, the things you got to overcome. So that was the finish of that thought right before we went to break there.
Yeah.
But that radical mentorship thing was phenomenal. We had great people in it. We can't discuss who was in it. And it's not because it's like Illuminati or something. It's just because everyone has their own personal experiences.
It's Illuminati. Just kidding.
Yeah.
It's not Illuminati. It's a great thing to have accountability in your life, no matter what you believe.
And
because
people from not your walk of life that you get to listen to their stories and their come ups, because it gives you so much just being grateful for
gratuitous.
What you've been getting. Yeah, gratuitous. I don't know. I always miss that every time. But it's a thing I should learn. But I think that was a huge help for me because we were all wanting to go a similar place. Yeah. We all came from very different backgrounds. And we all wanted something so much that we were willing to dedicate. We spent a little bit of time. We had to read all the books. Every meeting would be 3 or 4 hours long, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Anyways, we'll have to go over that. It'd be great if we could bring our mentors in at some point. It'd be good to kind of talk about that thing, man. If you and I sat down with, we brought in our mentors and talk about it, what it meant to them, that'd be wild or something. But
well, and their stories of what they're looking to do with the rest of their life. As one of them's got a crazy exit on a business. I mean, it's pretty public, I think. I don't know. But we don't know. We're not disclosing who it is, I guess.
Yeah.
But
we'll
just really cool world stuff. And I think a theme of your podcast, because I'm a big Drew Gerber podcast fan, actually, is that you've got to go through some hard stuff. And you've also got to learn to trust God in that.
Yeah.
So these are two guys that have really shined through the Spirit of God's really shined through them in the fruit of their labor.
Yeah.
Which is really cool to see, as we kind of talked about before too. But to another point, which I was going to mention as well, when you go down this path of not going to college and stuff like that, I think something that's really important is getting in a little bit over your head.
Yep. Exactly.
And that's the whole point of not going, because everything's so protected. And I think that's what you were getting at too.
Yes.
These folks are protected from what the real world is. Because, we said real versus not real. Well, there is some truth beyond the word.
There's also real in Iraq and real in Montana and real in Chicago.
There's real everywhere.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between being protected from what the corporate world even is. Like that's just its own thing.
Yep.
Of realizing that you have to really be good at what you do and gets up to the right people in some cases.
Yep.
So if you can learn that earlier, because then you realize that everyone in life is sort of kind of BS in their way through.
Yes. Yeah.
Because let's say you even want to be an engineer,
Yep.
the best way to do it would be go hang out with 10 engineers and get way in over your head.
Yep.
I'm 19. I like the math stuff here, but I have no idea what's going on. I got to learn, otherwise I'm getting fired.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened to me in that first startup.
Yep.
And I can relate to you on that because I went out there, 19, told them about all my Amazon stuff. This is a Series A startup. And
Series
go
A,
ahead.
explain that a little bit. So they're what round of funding and everything? Like they've got
seed.
big money coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll explain that. So from Billings, went to Phoenix, kind of lived on the West Coast.
Yeah.
I don't know if a lot of the listeners here spend a lot of time on the East Coast. I'm sure there's some people. It's a different world out there. Didn't know that before I went out there.
Different mentality.
Different mentality.
Personalities.
You have to go to school there. We sound like hicks out here talking about, well, you don't got to go to college. Just figure it out. You know,
Yeah.
You know, because to them, it's like, well, if you didn't go to college, how are you going to hang out with your bros?
Yeah.
Because like if I go to
that is their
bar,
network.
well, where'd you go to school? That's the first question everyone asks me.
That is their network.
Oh, I'm doing this entrepreneur thing, and they no respect. You know, versus here, people are like, oh, that's interesting. Like, what do you do? But so, anyways, went out there and got in so far and over my head. I landed in Richmond, was staying in downtown RVA, kind of near the college, but old houses, really nice though, from like the early 1900s. And Tyler here lived out there.
Kyle.
Kyle. I got going too quick there. So Kyle lives out there too, and knew kind of what this is like. But the buildings are super old, super kind of like the company we worked in was an old converted tobacco hanging factory
That's
that they
cool.
converted into this really cool startup office.
Wow.
So I go in there, first day. Do you have a computer? Yep, brought my computer. Do you have a notebook? Great. Phone? Okay, you're good to go. Here's 15 email accounts from our mid-tier clients that you're now going to be managing. So go off and manage. And I said, what? manage them? What do you mean? Well, they're going to have orders. They're going to have questions. You just need to get a hold of them and make sure everything, that they're staying in our sales system. Well, what's your sales system? Oh, just Gmail. Just get a hold of them. Okay, sure, yeah. Let me see what I can do, and I've got a little bit more training along the way. But man, trucks would show up. Hey, did you put that order in for Plated, which got bought by Albertsons, and they're ordering hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of our material? Oh no, forgot about that. Didn't remember to put that order in. You have to turn the truck around because I was in so far over my head. I didn't get really the training, and I was just flopping on my face.
Wow.
Yeah. It was crazy, but I did some good things out there too. It was so cool meeting these guys who started this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because first day I get in there, a black SUV shows up.
Mm-hmm.
3 guys get out. 2 security guards. They go into the conference room. I don't know if they were security people, just people. But like people with
Good
notebooks.
security doesn't look like security.
I guess so, right?
Yeah.
And I found out they were raising some money in their next Series A. And by the way, too, I didn't even get into that. As a startup, you go through your seed round.
Yeah.
Say that you and I want to start a business, but we want to do it publicly funded, not bootstrapped, which is where you don't take any money outside yourself. So seed round, you're going to go and talk to your friends and family and anyone who's willing to give you $1 for equity in the company, usually a really small amount in the first one because you're trying to get started.
Like what, 40, 50, 100 grand?
Well, it depends what you need it for.
Yeah.
If I'm going to go start an oil company, I'm probably going to need like $7 million.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I don't know anything about oil.
You need machinery. Yeah.
Or whatever, big machinery stuff. For startup world, you're going to need engineers. You're going to need to pay a few engineers at least 150 grand minimum.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, the guys in Silicon Valley, they're making 400,000 to go work at Uber and places like that.
Mm-hmm.
But mostly a lot of your fees are in overhead and developers and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And this case, the company would literally take cotton from other places and then they would turn into sustainable packaging for these really big food startups. So there was not very much cost for them, but I know because it's public information, it's on their Crunchbase. They were raising that day. I think they were on their Series A and it was probably 25, 30 million. And these guys were billionaires from investment firms that were coming in and making investments in the company that I work for. And I'm trying to figure out this job and all this stuff. And I'm 19. Everyone I'm with is out of college, a little more polished, a little more professional. And my boss is this 32-year-old A-type, and he's on me all the time.
Yeah.
Because I was making mistakes, and I didn't know exactly how to do the stuff that they were asking me to do, and it was horrible. 80-hour work weeks to keep up with everything, because there would just be so many emails and putting in these orders and doing all these things, and there's like a sales element to it too. And man, I don't think I could do half of what I'm doing now without failing that hard for a good year.
Yeah.
And just eating it every step of the way. But it was so cool because they were so young, these guys, that they were 27. We'd go out, and I was almost to the drinking age.
Okay.
But there would be little wine hours and little things where you'd really get to grab a beer with these guys and say, what's life like for you, and who do you know? And you get in this, they start talking and sharing some knowledge, and they even would tell you what they're seeing in you. And there was one guy there, he was one of the founders. He said, "You're not going to last here long. You're way too entrepreneurial." And I was like, I kind of thought it was a joke. And then the day I got fired, he called me right away, and he's like, "You got to go start something, because I see what I have, and I see it in you."
Isn't that so pivotal? Pivotal. That is such a huge thing, is having someone speak into your life. Now, I had a little bit later on when I was, extended studies and doing stuff in middle school and everything, but really that doesn't mean anything. It just means that you can actually conceive an idea and have an idea and follow through with some research on the idea at the most simplest part of it. But when people come into your life and they actually say, right at a point of failure, "You've done this well, and I think that you would actually do better over here," that is so impactful, especially at a point of failure. When you see someone fail and you know that this is the best thing that could ever happen to them, because they don't belong there, but there's somewhere else that they belong, and you can go and offer that kind of a little bit of insight. Those experiences could be worth millions of dollars later on in life. They can be worth, and they can also be worth 10, 20, 30 years in some cases.
Yes.
Well, later, but it will save you
the
time in your life that you would have lost in something that you might not have been that good at.
Right.
And like this whole joy and suffering that I keep bringing up in almost every podcast, there's so much joy in suffering when that suffering is something that pivots you in a way that you have to be pivoted.
The Joy of Suffering podcast, you guys.
Dude, I've been wanting to, I don't know, like that and lowest barrier to entry and actually, playing on some of these things that a lot of people think is cheap. But
you're attracting it.
Yeah.
To be honest, because that's how you keep having these themes in the show.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think, though, that back to your point, I just wanted to speak on how big it is for someone to come into your life at a time of failure and say, "Hey, look, you're going to be better at something else."
Yeah.
And actually, here's what you need to go and do now.
Dude, I left so confident that day.
You did?
Oh, dude, when they sat me down, because I knew it was coming, because they just bought this massive facility on the other end of town. It's beautiful, state of the art. They invested some huge amount of money. I think it was a $50 million.
I'm sure.
It was converted something else, an old factory. There's tons of them out there. And so we're walking around it, we're touring it, we're looking at new offices at this new place. And my boss gets a call and he goes, there's someone on the other line. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm with him right now." "Oh yeah, we got to tell him." "Okay. Yeah, let's do that." And then he goes, on the way back to the other facility, the old one, he goes, "Can I ride in your car?" And so I knew it was coming, and he just tried to talk to me about what I want out of life and stuff and, this and that. And I was like, "Yeah, I'm just, loving what I get to do and stuff." And then we got back, and it got to be the end of the day, and he brings in the new HR lady, the lady that didn't let us drink at work. She's an HR company now, because you get big enough to where there's real rules at the workplace. So she was new, and then it was my main boss. They sit me down, and he had like a big sheet of all the mistakes I've ever made at the company, because they do what's called KPIs, key performance indicators. Wow. Something that we talk about all the time in our company nowadays. But then they go, "Well, Reese and the company I worked at, we're going different ways." And I just, and he thought I was going to have some lashback. Be like, "Well, I would do really good." And he had the whole sheet because he was getting ready to go over it. And I go, "I can't believe you guys kept me on as long as you did." This is crazy, you guys. And they were just like, "Whoa."
So you were already at that mindset and okay with it. You kind of grieved it a little bit.
Because I would look at the value. I'd look at the value of every player in the team.
Yeah.
And I would give them an assessment. There was another guy who also got fired right after me, I put him at like a -2 because I was seeing it from a business owner's perspective.
Yeah.
And I would even say, I'm looking at the team
Yeah.
as a coach, and I'm going, that Reese guy sucks.
Yeah.
He needs to leave because he's not adding any value in his position.
Yeah.
I actually wanted to go into other stuff and sales and all that.
Yeah.
And there was a gentleman, move this here, who taught me a lot about sales.
Okay.
He's a really cool guy. He's a really good copywriter. Came from the freelance world. It was actually the founder's brother, younger brother. And he took me in, and he'd bring me in these rooms, and he'd say, all right, we have a call with a big company, Green Chef, for example, or somebody like that that's now acquired by HelloFresh. These are big. If you look up HelloFresh.
Oh, yeah.
Big company.
Way bigger than a lot of people think.
Way. That's why you get all those mailers. Anyways, they're probably a multi-billion-dollar company, actually.
Yeah.
Which there's a lot of stuff like that.
They're not privately traded, though.
They are. They're public.
Or publicly traded.
They're public.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're public. They're on the NASDAQ or even the New York. I don't know. But companies like that, we'd get on the phone and it'd be a good conversation. He was prospecting. And I would go, how did you get this meeting? He goes, well, I just reached out. And I was like, what do you mean you just reached out? Did someone put you in contact with them? He goes, no, I just literally sent them an email, and I had this kind of clever line about how much money they could be saving, as well as why not just get on a conversation to know if we could literally change the future of your business. And like, we're trying to change the future, and I think they could be on mission with that. And I'm like, what? So he shows me the emails, and he has all these ideas and scripts and things that he reaches out with. He does a little bit of LinkedIn. And this guy, he's just a hustler, and he sits down and he was always typing all day long because he's a writer. His dad's a writer, actually, too. With real books and stuff, like real stuff. And his brother's a founder. So they're a high functioning family. And this guy had the smartest ideas for stuff. And he took me under and just showed me a lot at a very high level. And so the stuff that he showed me then is actually a lot of what we do now, based on email and just reaching out to people.
Dude, I love a guy that can tell a good story. So you just rolled right into right where we needed to be. It's all about story, baby. And that was pretty much where I wanted to go. Was okay. So you've got all that going on. You come back. You get done with Virginia. Did you stay there much longer after you lost that job? How much longer did you stay?
I met the love of my life the year before.
Not in Virginia, though.
No, didn't meet her out there. Yeah. Met her here actually at church.
Yep.
Yeah. So I met Kate at college age. It was actually the same place I met you, which is the same place that Luke met my sister.
Yep.
Luke Anderson on the last show.
Yeah, and Luke Anderson's the same brother-in-law. Yeah.
Which is everyone meets at college age movement, which is called Young Adults Ministry now. But go there, hang out. It's such a vibe. Probably meet like the most impactful people in your life. I don't know why that works that way, but met her, and then she goes, hey, I don't like doing this long distance thing. I want to move out there. We were against living together because I think that wrecks a lot of things, and I think it's really bad energy for the relationship in some cases if you're not married. I mean, I think that's a pretty simple thing. I know a lot of people don't really believe that. That's more in the secular world, but especially as Christians, that's a huge thing.
Yeah.
But she moved out there and lived in the old house that I was living in before, so we kind of traded. Yeah. And I was living with a bunch of dudes. Some of the guys I actually became really good friends with, and when one of them went to Cornell and just had a crazy music life. Anyways, so she moved out there, and this company that I was working for actually had split with one of their partners, and they started another packaging company in the subscription base world. So say you order candy on subscription from some trendy e-commerce company, like this company does a bunch of that stuff, where they put all the packaging together and they ship it out, and you get your monthly subscription box. Dollar Shave Clubs, same type of thing. They do all theirs internal, but these smaller companies, they need a fulfillment partner. So she did that while I was doing my thing. So we almost had the same job at separate sister companies. And yeah.
Dude, how did she, I knew Kate in high school.
Yeah.
How did she even, was it just because you were out there? She was like, yeah, I'll move out there.
Yeah. And she just didn't want to be in Billings anymore.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And it's good. It's good. It's really good to get out.
Yeah.
It's really good to get out for a time.
She learned a lot.
Oh, I'm sure.
About life and things as being at that company and dealing with people and same type of thing a little over her head.
Yeah.
Because she wanted to be a banker or something like that. So she was walking into places.
Has she gone to college yet?
Yes. She got a 2-year.
She did a 2-year.
She did a 2-year.
Where did she go at?
MSUB.
Oh,
she was a runner.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
My attorney that I had for Teen Initiative when I first started, he was a running coach. And I remember seeing, anyways, him and I were talking. But yeah, my old attorney, he's since moved on, done very well. But yeah, small world.
Yeah, that is small world. And so she moved out there. So I said, okay, I'm fired. They let me go. But I had already thought of a bunch. I mean, you got to imagine I'm working every weekend.
Yeah. You're having thoughts as you see how a real company is run.
Yes.
You're like, oh, because that's how we run, dude. That's how we work.
Yes. I pitched them on building an e-commerce platform.
Yeah.
I said, why are we doing all this hand and fist stuff with all these orders? Why can't I just go build an e-commerce platform on Shopify where they click, I want 6 of my Dimension product that I have already ordered. So you've already built the specs and then add it to their cart and then we'll send them an invoice. Oh, no, we're going a different route. And then I got fired.
This guy's clearly not on board.
Yeah. He's coming up with his own ideas.
He's not even good at what he does. He's trying to sell us another company.
Exactly. That's why they didn't take it serious. Because one of the bosses even took me aside and he goes, if you can just pick up what you're doing better, we can get you over there, which is, I think, a bad management move.
Yeah.
If somebody's flailing over here, why would you say you need to figure that out before we move to a completely different thing that you actually seem to be really good at?
No,
because I would build mock-ups and stuff.
Yeah, that's you building on your weaknesses, and a lot of people find a lot of shame and guilt there. You'll never make it. You'll never be as good as somebody that's actually good.
Right. And there were these gals there, awesome people at what that was all about. That they were just out of college, super fresh, super with the technology. They'd never miss an email. Mm-hmm. You should see my email account right now. I mean,
I've seen some pretty bad ones. Mine's pretty bad. I know.
But imagine if, you're not the person that always gets to inbox 0 by noon and then again by the end of the day. That's the kind of job that is. That's never going to be me.
Yeah.
I can close deals. I can design stuff. I can figure out how to get a hold of somebody. I kind of have more of a sales brain, more relationship stuff, but not technical or not detail oriented by any standard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you rolled off of that, and then you and Kate, she quits her job. You guys move back to Billings.
Yeah. And so one quick thing, because I do want to, if you're thinking about getting started into entrepreneurship, you've got to realize how small you really got to start.
Yeah.
Because when I'd done the startup world, I'd also started companies, right, in high school that, when I was selling those bracelets, $25,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
So you would think that a guy like that would just immediately start something crazy big. I started really small. Based on building that e-commerce platform that I had put together for them for that deck, I said, all right, I'm going to hit up people to build just e-com sites that do this one thing really well. And I loved recurring products, which is actually kind of what Kate did. She dealt with a lot of companies that have subscriptions. And you can have subscriptions for anything. My deodorant's on subscription and stuff like that. So you have all these subscriptions in your life. And I wanted to help those people really grow their business. Mm-hmm. So what I did is I just hit up Upwork, upwork.com. They're now publicly traded. Great place to start. And I just submit proposals to people's projects. And I did this on week 2, I think, after being like, I thought I wanted to go into social media management. And then I also thought I wanted to be a growth hacker, which is kind of what I do now. So I ended up working with a bunch of like influencers and people that weren't too serious. Worked with this model guy in Israel. It was like a really big deal. And he wanted me to just like build stuff around his brand and stuff. But so I started really small. Like I'm talking $200-$300 a month, or for one website, which is the same. It would take me a month to do one. And I'm making $200-$300. So I was living on my savings right away.
Yeah.
I thought I had to close shop and find a job. And then all of a sudden I got an invite to do this job for a company that sells a probiotic supplement, recurring, and for children with autism, called All Star Nutrition. This guy had a lot of really good ideas for funnels. So he goes, without even talking to me, I check my phone. You've been hired for $18 an hour to do this work. Dude, so pumped. Like just all out, like stood up, just got lit about it, because $18 an hour to do this, and it was going to take me, quite some hours. It was going to be a full-time thing. That was it for me. I was so pumped. I said, I can do this. I can help these people do their e-com stuff. And the reason I didn't go back to being an e-com seller at that point is because I knew it as I was maturing that you can't just flip other people's products. And that's all I'd really known in that world. So I wanted to do it right. So I was trying to learn from people that were doing it.
Yeah.
And get paid while doing that.
That were producing their own original product.
Yeah. And I love a lot of e-com brands.
Yeah.
Now, like I'm a big fan of Melon, Feet Clothing. I worked with those guys, but the real brands that have something very unique to bring to the table, that's not just something flipped from China. I don't like the idea of that. It's scummy to me. And honestly, if I would have gone right into that, because after Amazon disabled that account, but you can go create an LLC on LegalZoom and get back on very easily, because now that's your new EIN. But I didn't want to be that guy that's just flipping Chinese junk
Yeah.
online.
I think
But people still do that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Then they make a ton of money.
A ton. And it's only grown because when I was doing it, people didn't know what Amazon was even yet.
Yeah.
It wasn't a household thing. Nowadays, it's obviously Amazon. But I think they were maybe in the top 5,000 companies at that time, but not number one.
I think it's really interesting how this generation, though, is starting to process this because, you know, the generation before us, the baby boomer generation, all I heard about was buy American, blah, 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 buy American. And really in the back end, while they're saying buy American in the front, they still go to the store and they buy the cheapest thing at the store because that was, you know, and I think, though, that the way that this generation is processing our generation, we're quickly realizing that the less industry we have here in the United States, the more we're shooting ourselves in the foot that we're only ever going to be the marketing. And we need to also produce here. We have to figure out how to create a quality product and still control the marketing. Well, if this is to keep, if we're going to keep basing our total net worth on GDP and gross domestic product and all these things, like we have to figure out a way to provide a quality product because information is traveling faster than the product is traveling. And so if you have a bad review on a product, that product will never be tried again.
By Facebook too, because they ask the user now. Have you seen those?
Yes, I have.
How'd you like this? And if you're like, it never came or it sucked.
Yeah. Then
you're done. Your ad platform will actually get disabled.
Yeah, and
happens all the time.
Yeah, that product is no longer going to be even an ability to be tried again. Yeah. So you have to rebuild a whole new company. It costs so much money to remarket. And if you're still using the same product, are you kidding me? Well, you don't have control over what the quality of that product is because it's somebody in a whole nother country, whole nother standard, and you can't call them up and say, yeah, change your product or I won't market this anymore. We have to have direct control in this country. And when I say it has to be in this country, wherever the product's getting marketed, they have to figure out a way to be able to go down the street and say, look, you're going to lose 30% of your business. If my company falls apart, I'm not buying your product anymore. You got to change your product because otherwise this whole system isn't going to work. And people are catching on. Information's traveling so fast.
Well, but what you're almost describing though is competition. Yeah. And so if you think about it, there's actually a tremendous amount of competition. And so if you listen to Ryan Moran, who's I consider one of my top mentors. In fact, I started listening. That's what got me selling on Amazon. I started listening to Ryan in 2013, 2014, when he first started the Freedom Fast Lane. And so he talks about this all the time because that's all they do is they make products better. Yeah. You just have to have the right connection with them to be able to say, oh, you want to make it this, you want to add this other lid here and make it, and then they'll do it. But it has to be really solid. Yeah. The supply chain is so important. And we're learning that right now with COVID. Yeah, logistics wise, you got to be able to get stuff still delivered. You do. And make that happen. It's a whole nother rabbit hole. We're gonna have to dive into that more. Welcome to the Supply Chain Podcast. We're talking about logistics. Yeah. So let's pop back over. Great insight though. That's so phenomenal to be able to talk about that stuff and us just be able to even be thinking about it and get our listeners thinking about it. But so you had you started small, and I love you talking about that. Starting small. Yeah, started small. Because that's really what lets you be good. What happened was Marty, the owner of that company, knew exactly what he was doing. Yeah. He had already made all these videos about testimonials, and it had a Facebook group, and it had 500 moms and dads of children with autism that were ranting about this product. That funnel that we built, which is a website, I refer to websites as funnels often because that's what they are. You're going from the homepage directory to the product page, and then you're making a decision there, which is where a lot of reviews and things like that need to live. It's kind of my specialty is actually product pages. So what we did is we made that product page, and it started doing about $100,000 a month. Mm-hmm. And he paid me $400 to build it. Mm-hmm. I checked back the account, and I said, are you serious? Now, keep in mind, I wasn't marketing it, which is the biggest piece, but it was fully optimized. And he had a lot of email sequences and things like that would go out to parents to continue thinking about this product, and it worked for a lot of people and testimonials. So that first project that kind of saved my bacon, even just paying my $500 in rent that month or whatever, was really eye-opening that it was so successful because it took me probably a year later until I saw another client that had that kind of success. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of it is actually on the client side to have something good to offer, and so many people don't. Yeah. Because like you said, the feedback loop is too tight nowadays to just throw junk at the wall. Mm-hmm. I got paid to build companies for hair products for men and all this random stuff. And I can't even tell you, even if they dump 10 grand into it, I'd say 95% of them, they don't even really push it. They just want a brand mock-up, a website, a funnel, email sequences, and then it sort of dies. Mm-hmm. So I was working with a lot of those and kind of grew a company out of it because I got really good at marketing to the business owners that wanted to get started in it, but it's an interesting audience. People who want to start something, not that have and see success with it, but people that want to start something. So that company then turned into me hiring other people to do it. Now, that's another thing, too, that I wanted to mention. If you're watching this show, you should be using places like Fiverr, Upwork to start. I mean, Topol is a higher end one, but these freelance platforms allow you to outsource sometimes very inexpensively
and test markets
on stuff that you don't even know how to do. For example, I'm gonna shout this out. I've got another business called View Movement, viewmovement.com, and it's Instagram and TikTok reels for big corporations that are on YouTube, but they're not cutting their reels into reels for TikTok, YouTube Shorts, places like that. They're just not optimizing. So we're reaching out, and so that's run by primarily freelancers that are really, really good at video editing. In fact, I got the video editor that does Sam Parr. Mm-hmm. You've heard of him. He sold Hustle Co. to HubSpot for, I think, in the billions. Mm-hmm. Very kind of becoming an influencer and does a lot of podcasting and things. So we got him who edits that. He lives in Serbia. Very talented young man. As a freelancer and what he knows how to do with editing, and we were talking about that too between the show. Mm-hmm. It's very cool to see that. And I don't have to be a pro video editor to have a successful venture in creating TikToks, but I know a guy who is.
Yeah.
So that's a big piece of how I grew that, because at the end of Brand which I eventually ended up exiting that company, which I know I've told you a couple times before.
Well, we haven't even talked about Brand So that was Brand was the one that that was the company that you built up after Marty.
Yes.
And used all of that information to build up Brand
Yes. Everybody starts with a personal brand.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm the guy down the road that builds websites.
Yeah.
That's what it starts as.
Yeah.
But eventually, when you're hiring other people and stuff, so I'm actually a little biased. I think you should stay a personal brand, even if you're outsourcing, which is what I'm going to be doing more with my stuff. But most people and agencies that we work with, they come up with some creative name.
Yeah.
Left foot, right foot agency.
Yeah.
And it's always random names. So mine was Brand Yak.
Yeah. That's a classic
being just that
thing.
Brand and Yak. And I wanted it to, same thing I'm trying to do with Meeting Pair. I want it to be a tech company where we use a lot of AI to generate your website and really make it a cohesive experience, while it's kind of a run through the mill kind of thing where we save them a ton of money.
Yeah.
Because what I learned is other companies charge a ton of money for a website. And I actually think this is interesting to a lot of people. For a corporate website, I mean, what would you expect kind of the floor to be for most corporate companies that have multiple locations and things like that?
Oh, probably 150,000.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say 6-figure minimum.
Yeah.
To build a website. And that's corporate, but even just the basic e-commerce site, an agency is going to charge you 30 grand. And it's a Shopify template.
Yeah.
And it's optimized a little.
Yeah.
But I wanted
to... And when you say optimized, that means the load rates are quick. The SEO is good. It actually has a decent click-through rate. Like, you can hold on to people's attention for longer than 10, 15 seconds.
There's literally an app called Hotjar.
Yeah.
Have you heard of that?
No, I've not.
You can plug it in and it will show you exactly what happens. It's a heat map that shows you what happens on a site. Take your average site that's just not been worked on at all. Yeah. It's not going to be optimized, and there'll be literally lines that show you where your user is going on mobile and on desktop, and then it'll go cold because they didn't have what they needed to proceed on that site.
Wow.
And Amazon, for example, is heat mapped like crazy. The Amazon app, if you have it.
Yeah.
Everything, the way everything flows, and you go in, here's my payment, but it's actually hard to imagine how that should work, because we were talking about this too. Some people's brains just don't think of what other people are going to be experiencing on the site. And that's called user experience design or UX design. And that's technically what I do for a living outside of kind of what my whole agency was built around, was e-commerce UX design of how the masses are going to experience it. And if they have exactly what they need at the right time, you're going to have an explosive conversion rate.
Yeah.
Because then they actually are there to get something and have an experience on your site that results in them walking away with a product.
Yeah.
Very challenging to do. you could spend a lifetime optimizing because it's all about human behavior, and human behavior is always changing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's kind of what the whole company was. Now, that sounds pretty complex.
Yeah.
And it is. So if you imagine me, who knows quite a bit about this, mostly a lot of it's honestly instinct.
Yep.
Because I'm just kind of in tune with that.
Yep.
But for me trying to convey this to a freelancer
Yeah.
that's in Ukraine, which we had a great designer named Anastasia from Ukraine, very talented, and did a lot of the stuff there. But for me to have a whole company that does that, it's very hard.
Yep.
We have clients now that do it correctly. They've got offices in London. They've got offices in Sydney, Australia, New York, and LA.
Yeah.
And they're all working on their own things. And it's like, I think there's at least 60 people that work there.
Wow.
And they're doing exactly what I was hoping to do. Optimizing the emails, optimizing this. And they charge ridiculous amounts a month.
Yeah.
Huge retainers.
And what you're really paying for there is more people like you, Reese, that have the natural instinct of what people like and what people don't like. It's no different than a kid that's 13, 14 years old that knows how to make a good TikTok.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and it's something that it's hard to teach how to read human behavior. You can give every data step in the world, but sometimes you just got to sit down and have a conversation with that person, or you have to put yourself in so many meetings with these people that you start to understand how to read people. And that's honestly it's hard to teach some people how to read people. It's really hard to teach that. And especially you have to do it in mass. So you have to find one person that's good at reading a certain subset of the population in order for that to be a successful business. And if they don't know how to read a certain subset of the population, then they don't. Then they don't succeed. I found it so interesting. A lot of people throw Mark Zuckerberg under the bus a ton. And big evil, terribly scary guy he's an alien. He's not.
I actually find him very scary, but that's a whole nother topic.
A whole nother topic.
I'll have to send you a YouTube video if you don't think he's scary.
Yeah. Well, I think that it's scary, but I think that why he's scary is he is phenomenal at understanding human behavior.
But dude,
he can understand human behavior like nobody's business, dude. That's why he's worth billions.
I understand him so much right now. And the thing is, man, I don't know if people know this, but he secludes himself though.
Yeah.
Because he knows how dangerous it is to know what he knows.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you know this, but he has a house in Palo Alto.
Okay.
And
Are we getting into conspiracy theory?
No, this is a real thing you can look up because it's registered under the Facebook name.
Yeah.
He bought a big house in Palo Alto, which they're small houses. It's very compact. Everything's cost millions of dollars to own even the smallest little piece of land there. He bought the 4 houses around it.
Wow.
Just to make sure there's nobody that ever sees him.
Wow.
Which maybe he's just so rich, but also his Hawaii island, same thing. There are walls surrounding the whole thing, and maybe it's for his own security, but like when he goes on a computer, tape over the all of his webcams are covered. He doesn't allow audio on any of his computers, so he never makes like videos on those or anything like. So that's kind of a guy who's not. He's a little bit worried about stuff too, which I guess at that level you wouldn't be just on. Hey, what's up? I'm Mark. I'm in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Maybe you're not because you're worth so much money that it could be dangerous, I guess.
Well, I think it's also the information that he has. If anyone were to get leverage over him, and utilize him and his
could just send
subset
him,
of knowledge.
Hey, we need $1 billion, otherwise we won't release it. He probably has that laying around in Bitcoin or whatever.
Yeah, but I mean,
Here's
if his life becomes threatened, can you imagine how much? If you think the president of the United States is worth a lot of money, and you think that for some reason, well, there's still checks and balances. If the guy goes away, I'm gonna go looked up on a FBI watch site now. But if something were to happen to him, there's lots of people in his place, and he doesn't really have so much information as we think. But this guy has information on 7 billion people.
Bro, all of it. Every bank, dude, he can log into your bank account right now if he wants to. You realize they have the cookie power to do that unless you block it?
Yeah.
So here's the thing. He hasn't earned the trust of the people.
Yeah.
Because dude, he's got so many tapes of him calling his audience like dumb effing people that do this, that even use Facebook or Friendster or all the apps he built in college. These people are sheep. Why would they give me this information?
Yeah.
He's said that.
Yeah.
But then his whole life's built around it, and it scares me because he's actually never made, in my mind, the policies that Facebook has gone through politically, the way they do stuff, the way they try to control things a little more than they should, and not make good ethical decisions about using platform like technology in a holistic way. He hasn't earned any trust to be able to have us go into his metaverse.
Yeah.
That is scary to me.
Yeah.
That he even wants a metaverse, because the whole purpose of a metaverse is that it's owned by the people,
Yeah.
not by Mark Zuckerberg, who hasn't even earned any trust of anyone, much less the trust of the people.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like,
that makes sense.
it's backwards.
It's a scary thing, and I think that as long as we know that the power is there and it's real, we have to still be able to overcome the fear to challenge it or to create something that will rival it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing is a lot of people will get terrified and hide under desks and blah 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 because it's something that they see that's not out in their control. I mean, same thing happened in 1960s Cold War.
Yeah.
I mean, you hide under your desk because you don't have the ability to be able to rival something in power and I think in diplomacy. And I think that eventually, Facebook is still a weapon. It's still a tool that we can use as a people, not a weapon, but it's a tool that we can use and leverage.
Yeah.
And you can find a lot of influence and a lot of power there. It's when you lose that ability to create something that rivals someone else, without 30, 40 years of to be able to create a disruptor without 34 years of previous work is when we start to lose power. So the first and foremost, that starts with mindset, and it's conversations like this is, very realistically, we could be shut down, but also very realistically, you can just turn it off.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And you can turn it off and go create yourself.
Yeah.
Go create something else. That's where I've had to come to because otherwise I'm absolutely going to be controlled by fear of, man, I could build a whole company and I'll just get shut down on Facebook. But it doesn't, but and it could be just based around Facebook. It's like, no, you can create a whole company because people find value in you. And if they find value in you, they will figure out a way to get to you. And you just have to give them the option. You have to work hard enough to give them the ability to have access to you. And if more people have access to you, I mean, dude, this is wild. You think about Jesus Christ and the book, the Holy Bible that you have. Marketing, baby. He can only offer that. He's the only one that I truly believe can offer an afterlife and all of those abilities. But you don't find him on Facebook very often. You don't find him but you can get that information. That information is available because the value is there. If there wasn't enough value in that, then you wouldn't go and search it out. So you've got to be able to give value no matter what. And as long as you're giving value, people will search it out.
Yeah.
They will find the truth in that value. So even though that Facebook is extremely dangerous, Amazon, Alibaba, all of these things are extremely dangerous.
I cut you off though before you're about to say something because I had to talk about Mark. No. So you go back because you were saying something really good before that, and then I brought up Mark.
Completely lost it. I have no idea. I'll find it again. You'll have to come back on the podcast.
Well, I started a conspiracy rabbit hole.
Yeah,
so I apologize.
But no. Don't worry about that. That brings up a great point because a lot of people think they look at the internet and they go, "Man, I'm not going to go on the internet. I'm scared of that. I'm not going to use that to monetize my business or bring better products to other people. I'm not going to use that because if like the world that I've grown up in, if an EMP hits, it's all gone anyways. And it's like if an EMP hits, you don't even begin to fathom what's going to actually happen. Use what you have right now in the moment. Don't let that kind of fear tell you that I'm not going to try to bring value to hundreds of thousands of millions of people because I'm worried about one little thing. I mean, I kind of grew up around hoarders. I'm not hoarders, but what do they call preppers? Not hoarders, but preppers. I kind of grew up around like people that like literally have based their life decision on I'm never going to build anything on the internet because eventually when the world goes to crap, I want to have cattle. And it's like if the world goes to crap, it's going to be whoever has the biggest stick or whoever has the most influence. It has nothing to do. You know what I'm saying? Like it's the human, we always want to go to the worst place in fear and all these places. And I'm getting really deep in philosophy, but I honestly personally think don't limit yourself. That's truly a fear tactic. You're being limited if you see someone that has so much power, takes up so much space in your head because they have the only platform that you're posting on. No, they're not, they are a god in a way, but they're not that god.
Yeah.
I don't know how else.
I've got something to speak to on this actually.
Okay, let's do it.
Because you're talking about fear, and I noticed this come up in me recently with all the sickness that's been going on.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't even really that sick this last week.
Mm-hmm.
My wife had COVID.
Yeah.
Kate was really sick.
Yeah.
And I could hardly work because I was so crippled by fear of myself getting it because it was so bad.
Yeah.
As well as the other things of just life, like January's off to a crazy bad start for us and our business because everyone else is scared. of what the sickness is. S&P's down. The economy,
inflation
might
all
be
that
taking
stuff.
a turn.
Yeah.
Are we even printing digital money anymore? Are we printing bank account numbers?
Yeah.
That's just, and stuff like that. And that's what's occupied my mind. And I got to tell you, my productivity has been way down. And so you almost got to look at yourself a little bit and say, what am I scared of right now? And how do I offer that up?
Yeah.
And I've really been getting back into my Bible and saying, all right, God, I don't think this is something I really have much control in.
Yep.
So how do I offer up this fear and anxiety so that I can get to be the person that you made me to be?
Yep.
Because that's the only thing that really matters. Because if we all die because of a bomb, then that's what you lived out was your purpose.
Yeah.
And that could be for 30 more minutes, or we could figure out a way to live 300 more years.
Dude, I was having, did I cut you off?
No, that's it.
I was having this thought this morning. You've got to really hate life if you don't want it to continue after life. When I was super depressed, I really wasn't that scared of death. I also wasn't that scared of death when I thought about just my life in general, because I felt like I didn't think I was going to amount to much the last 3-4 years when I'm driving truck, and I've given myself plenty of time off. I have the resources to start something, to do something. I have the ability to do that, and I haven't done it. So death seems like a nice nap. And now that I'm loving life, death scares the crap out of me. And I kind of go back and forth between that, because I go, man, what happens after? What's the thing? And I think it's a really tough place to be in if that depression and fear is overtaking your life, because it's easy to fall into, well, there's no point. There's no, you're a nihilist in a way. There's no point in doing anything if I can't overcome myself. And then once I overcome myself, then what is there to overcome? Especially once myself is gone, what do I do then? And I think about that, and that has given me so much clarity. And it sounds wild, but it gives me so much more clarity that I have to do what I'm doing right now. I have to be buying real estate. I have to be helping other people do real estate. I have to figure out how to get this podcast going. I have to do these things. And it can all be taken away and shut down at any minute. Ad revenues are way in the tank. A ton of YouTube guys right now are starting to talk about no companies are paying for ad spaces because there's so much content out there, and they're seeing less and less effective. Like the golden age already of ads is probably going to be in the tank here soon.
It is.
This podcast might never make enough money that I'll actually get paid for it, because there's so much other content out there right now.
But here's what my mentor told me about this too, and I want to tell you about it.
Yeah.
Because I was telling him about this. I go, man, what do you think about this podcast? At the end of the show, of the one I started. And he goes, dude, you realize that there's actually few people that are doing it consistently.
Yeah.
Sure, there's the craze of the TikTok people, and you know who those people are because they post consistently. But it's all about some form of consistency, because he goes, you check the podcast world, and he has these, he's got a big podcast, so he looks at all this data in the podcasting world. And he goes, you realize they always take a huge upswing, then back down, and then they get depressed or whatever, and they quit. And it's all of them. So there's the big ones we all listen to. I mean, we got the Rogans, and I love Ryan Moran's podcast and people like that, and they post all the time, but they've never quit. It's always pumping out, even if they're depressed. And I love that because you even get to hear even deeper into their life a little bit. But I just wanted to encourage you in that too, because I know that it would be hard, because at our stage, it feels like there's a long way to go.
Long ways.
That same guy that taught me that cold email stuff, he always said, if you're trying to get up somewhere really high and you're looking down and you're thinking that's really high up there, the people who got there didn't climb up a ladder and think I need to get up there. They slowly put steps in to where you look down and you're like, I just climbed 3 steps. So the steps are actually below you instead of climbing up, because climbing up, if you look up, that can get really scary. That's a long ways to go, rather than just what's underneath of me and making momentum on that. But man, I think you've got a huge shot at making something special here. And for people listening too, if you're watching it to this point in the podcast, you also find this show a little bit special. And I think it's cool to be a part of. So I appreciate you having me on and involving me outside of it too.
Oh, no, dude. This is honestly what I've always asked for, is someone like Kyle, someone like you that actually wants to come along in something that I've always wanted to do. And that was just me figuring out what I like to do. And maybe a couple people around me being like, we like you doing that too, Drew. You know? And it's not just because I'm helping them necessarily, it's not that I'm just a value to them in the way that of what I can perform and produce, but just because I genuinely always wanted good friends around what I'm capable of. But all of that aside, I think honestly, the fear thing and all of that stuff, you've got to overcome fear. You have to. You have to. It could stop at any minute. It could be over at any minute. And you have to figure out a way to love life so much that you want it to go on forever. And if you find that, and I'm not saying that you can't find that. A lot of people find that in the worst places. I mean, they're depressed, they've lost a loved one, they've lost an appendage, they've lost quality of life because they're maybe even stuck in a chair, paraplegic style. Like, you got to be in some tough places sometimes, and other people's minds are tougher than, so that it takes even more to be put in that place.
Yeah.
But when you get in that place and you find out this is no way I want to live, it doesn't matter what happens in the world. You're going to find something that you enjoy, that that you can walk away from. If it doesn't make you any money, if it doesn't do anything to the world's necessary value, but you will find purpose in that. That sounds so empty and so cliche and so vague and all of that stuff, but it's got to be something that it's like, and I feel like I found it. But it's got to be something that makes you look away from the fear. You look away from, don't let that control your life. Don't let it. Mortgage at the end of the month. That sounds stupid. You should try to figure out how to make good on your obligations that responsibilities that you've assigned yourself to. And you should pay your bills. But I'm saying though that that fear should be something that motivates you in some way. Like, no matter what happens, I'm still going to do this.
One step in front of the other.
Yeah.
And you and I,
it's got to be small. It's not going to be big either. It's not
That's
going to be
what I'm
big.
saying.
It's going to be getting up 4:00 in the morning because you have a crazy thought.
Yes.
And it just motivates you to get up. And it's just for me, it's just hitting the record button. And my first couple episodes suck.
No, they're not bad.
But it's, yeah.
Well, here's the thing though. And you and I know relate on this, because when I imagine putting out my first like big YouTube video where I finish it, it's going to be better than Eric and B as a combined.
Yeah.
But the truth is, it's all about just starting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that crippling fear of imagining an explosion of colors when you finally take a step and do the thing that you want to do, and that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Because the first couple episodes, you must have been like, I'm just a guy talking to myself in a room right now.
Oh, yeah. Straight up therapy sessions.
Yeah.
It was literally like, okay, so I think I talk about this now, and I got to make it somehow valuable to somebody else. And I should probably talk a little bit about, my life is kind of like, I just know I just need to do this. So I'm just gonna, and it was, there's no energy, there's no excitement. Honestly, the best thing that happened to me was every time I took a break or every time I fell away from it, I felt this desire that I had to go and do it again. And at first it was a little bit of like, hey, I promised people I was going to do this. But after this last time where I didn't do anything for 2 weeks, beginning of January, I got sick, didn't want to do anything. We recorded Luke's podcast and I didn't touch anything. I just fell into, all right, I got to figure out how to make my mortgage payment next month or my rent payment next month. I got to do real estate. Okay, I got to find, and then I found a real estate deal and that sucked me away. And I didn't even want to talk to Luke for a couple days because I felt so guilty about not putting his podcast out. And Kyle had even done the audio for me. Like, it was the easiest podcast for me to put out. We had like the best template put it together. Like, it's like in the way that we're editing, it's so much less time. I literally just had to cut it together and put it out. And I didn't do it for 2 weeks. Yeah. And it was because I was like, it didn't sound fun to me. It didn't. Playing Minecraft while I was sick or watching Breaking Bad for the 10th time was better. It was so much better in some of those regards when I did have free time. And I naturally, the other day, had an inkling like, I'm not going to go to bed till I finish this. And it was 1:00 in the morning. I put that post out. And I got up the next day and I thought, I can do this. This is something that's totally capable. I'm totally capable of doing. It's probably the easiest thing in the world for me to do. And even then I choose cheap dopamine over it. But I have a natural inkling and I want this. And this is really the true desire. As many as the best real estate deals I'll ever do. I'm going to make decent money in that. I'm going to do very well in a lot of that stuff. It's going to try to pull me away, especially when I start making $250,000 a year. It's going to start trying to pull me away. But this podcast and this, I just know.
Yeah, I can see it in your eyes that you're committing. I can see that you're committing.
Yeah, it's something that eventually I know that it's going to take time to build it up to where I just want to do it every day and I love it and I won't do anything else, even if I'm depressed or whatever.
I don't know if that'll actually ever come.
I don't know if it will or not, but I know though that over time I will build up this addiction to this like I've had addictions to other things, but this is for once in my life.
The
As long as I keep my morals right, my ethics right, I keep looking up to the big guy and asking, "Hey, is this what I got to do?" But yeah, it's gonna be a thing. It's gonna be something that really excites me, and I don't think 1 million subscribers at the end of the year is out of the question. I don't think that monetizing the next 2 months, despite ad revenues being down, is out of the question. I think that there's, above all else, this is probably my best shot. And if it doesn't work, that's fine.
Yeah.
But
here's what I want you to do.
Enough.
Here's what I want, and this is what I'm doing too.
Yeah.
And I do. You can adopt this or not. But looking at subscribers or money made, because my goal going into January was I want to take our current company that went from 0 to hundreds of thousands. I want to take it to 1 million in a year, 7 figures.
What are you doing right now a month? Can you say it?
No, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't. But all I'll say is it's hundreds.
Okay.
In a year. So it's not just barely crossing. It's up there. Even profits in the
hundreds of thousands.
Is 6
and
figures.
You started this 7-8 months ago?
No, not quite.
Right,
I mean, it was getting rolling in August of 2020.
Okay. Yeah.
So really, we've seen one full revenue cycle.
Yeah, and this is just cold email marketing. Not just, but it's
essentially.
Yeah,
essentially, it's marketing, and we'll get into that too. But looking at the vanity metrics that we set for ourselves of, hey, I'm going to make $1 million this year.
Yeah.
Is not actually that great of a place to come from because it puts expectations on things that are going to pull away from my true mission.
Yeah.
Which is to serve these people and to find something that really works for them.
Yeah.
Because if I just put my energy there and I say, I want to have 22 clients that are absolutely so thrilled with working with Reese Queen, then I want to have another 45 that could go, it was pretty good. I recommend it. If you ask me about it, it's good. And then I want to have another XYZ that say this, or this amount of calls, or this amount of emails, something I can control. I mean, that's another almost not really a vanity metric, but the other one, that one's hard. I can't actually control what people think, but that should be the goal. I should be thinking about that because that'll actually get us to 1 million.
Yeah.
Pretty easily.
Yeah.
Versus I'm just going to make 1 million. I got to reverse engineer what I'm currently doing because that's not, we got to change to go to scale. We're like a reptile.
Yeah.
We were an infant that went to something bigger. And right now all of our systems are broken because we just had a crazy year, and now we've scaled out of that. When it's like we lose that skin, and we got to go make a new one, and even figure out what color we want it to be, and stuff like that, and change the structure of it completely to be more valuable for our customers and to charge double and triple what we're charging now, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So for you saying, okay, 100, because we already talked about this at the beginning of January. We both had goals.
You asked me if you could bring anybody on in the end of the year, who could it be? And I said Denzel Washington.
And you also said 1 million. And we both said,
I said 1 million
why
subscribers.
Not? Why not?
We both said, yeah.
Exactly. But that, to me, the energy around that metric, at least for me, feels like it's almost like if you don't get there, you're pushing. But if it feels good to you, then go for it.
Yeah.
But part of me would just say, hey, can I get out that 1 episode a week? I know you're going for 2.
Yeah.
I heard it on the last episode.
Yep.
But can you absolutely never miss a week? I know, dude, everyone got sick.
That's true.
That's hard.
Yeah.
But if you can just say, at the end of this year, there's going to be at least 65 episodes and I've done what I can do. And every one of them is as good as possible. We put the right audio into it. We got the right guests on. It'll all come to you, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it will too. And I get super optimistic, and that's just my old characters. I'm just like, I'm going to do this no matter what. But I also know though that after my last 2 weeks, I got down and I got guilty, but I had to give myself some slack. I had to be like, look, as long as you actually do it, Drew, that's just the matter right now. It's just getting back to it. Like being able to go through this little cycle of sickness, depression. I'm totally healthy now. Why am I not posting a podcast? And then getting back to it.
Yeah.
And you learning how to do that in a faster span, perfecting that. Because now it's going to happen in a week and a half. And now it's going to happen in 4 days.
Yeah.
You have to figure out how to process it, work through it, not let, take control of every thought, not let those emotions rule over you. And that's me building a muscle. That's a muscle of me being able to put that stuff down and going for some consistency. Because I think that there's this real thing called resistance in the enemy. You read about it in War of Art.
I'm very familiar.
Yeah, Stephen Pressfield, and he did a fantastic job on it. But it's this resistance, this fear. It's always going to try to stop you. But yeah, I love talking to you, Reese, because you are one of the first guys that really believed in me, and I mean really believed in me when it came to, Drew, you got to get an audience somehow. you've got to figure out. You could be like Eric. You could be like Bia Hezit. You guys can look these guys up.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try.
Okay, well, we've talked about him too many times. So
yeah, Bia Hezit for some reason for both of us. I think it's because he's a Christian.
He's Christian, but the guy is so cool.
Yeah,
he's this 19-year-old kid.
Yep,
and he's an immigrant, but you would never know that because
he's like 21, isn't he? Is he not?
I think he's in his young dude. He's 20, but he's got to be 20 now because I started following him when he's like 17.
Yeah.
But this guy, he's so open about it all because there are so many gurus. I follow a lot of people. I actually unfollowed a lot of people. All the people I do like though, Alex Hormozy.
Okay.
He's got a book called $100 Million Offers. He's all over Instagram. You'll recognize him. Really big, jacked guy. He did a lot in the gym space, and now he's in the marketing world. Beheza, super open book. Mm-hmm. The questions that he answers and stuff, and he'll go into his YouTube channel and be like, hey, guys, just did $1 million last year here in these ads, and then I bought this house, and then I did this. And the way that he does it, where it's also entertaining.
Yeah.
Are you serious? You're like, wow, this guy is very unique in his approach, and that and the reason we'd found him together. I think I told you who that other guy was, which to me, Eric, I don't want to be that because that's like a Mr. Beast vibe.
Yeah,
and that's not my vibe.
I don't see a whole lot of value watching those challenges. It's motivating. It's a motivation. It's a different type of motivation, like Gary Vee motivation, because it's like, oh wow, he went and did this crazy thing, but I don't know if it's a how. It's not a how to. Not. You don't feel that? Yeah.
No, it is. No, I'm agreeing. I'm saying it's not motivational.
Yeah.
The way that Beheza does it is it almost empowers you to say, I actually should start a dropshipping company. I should
try something.
I should do something.
And I should just
this kid is literally doing, like a kid, is open and very nonchalant about, here's a few $1 million I make in a year, and it's all, half of it goes to California because I live in California and all this, and just super down to earth, somebody you'd want to actually hang out with, versus that whole guru approach, which makes me just want to throw up when I see that stuff now.
Well, he shows you how he tries things. And he comes at things in such an honest way. Oh, yeah. And multiple times he's failed. I bought into that. The
fluff coin.
The crypto. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've already explained who he is, actually.
And I love that. I did a couple times, and but I haven't gone into depth because I haven't found anybody else that has near the excitement for him as you and I. But
there's a video where he's in his Tesla and he's driving around, and kid makes so much passive income. He goes, I've heard you can make a ton of money by painting the driveway squares onto houses. So this kid takes like 4 days and drives around in his Tesla. He parks it like on another street because he doesn't want people to know that he's actually probably like 10 times more wealthy than them.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're just normal little houses he went to, and they're like, oh, no. Or like everyone told him no. Like get out of here and all this stuff. And okay. And then he goes on to the next one and taking just a beating out there, being the door-to-door guy.
Rejection.
Tons of rejection for them
in his face, dude.
Yeah, not behind a screen. Not too good to this. And then the moving company one, he took a whole week off and was just like moved someone's furniture to try to show that you can make $800.
Yeah,
and it's just like, wow, that's cool.
That's the kind of stuff we need, and that's why it gave me permission to start this podcast. Is look, everyone's trying to figure it out. If they're telling you that they're not figuring it out, they're lying to you. They don't really know. And you said the same thing when you're working over in Virginia, like, oh, these guys, they might be a little bit more polished. They can put a little better image out there. But I think honesty, transparency, I think that stuff in this world is going to take you way farther.
Yeah.
And being honest, when you've tried and failed, that's the number one thing that I've not done anything very crazy in my life. It's all extraordinary. It's ordinary things that I've tried very quickly, very rapidly, and I felt, because I'm such an emotional human being. I hate saying it, but I am. But people love the transparency. That's the feedback I get. I get messages that are so crazy in depth from parents of kids that I went to school with. And it's like, we just love your transparency and how honest you are about the things you struggle with.
Are you talking about this podcast?
This podcast.
Oh, wow.
So I'm talking about, dude, I'm talking about this. This is real life case study right here, right now, what I'm dealing with. And I'm like, that right there is a market that it is a terrifying market to get into. But transparency is real. Like
real transparency, because
real transparency.
Go on LinkedIn and you're gonna find these really long.
Real transparency. I mean, I'm talking about struggling with addiction, struggling with marriage, the things that you have to figure out in your core before you can ever even truly attempt with what we're trying to do. You have to figure out how to at least process that that's a problem, and either find something that's healthier to take up that space, or you have to just confront that thing head on before you'll ever find the one thing that's really what's good for you and made for you and meant for you, that you can actually maintain and do over time. And I think that those are the things that we if we have all this information, why don't we get the real information of what your inside, how your headspace actually works? Everyone wants to talk about mental health. Everyone wants to talk about that stuff. Everyone wants to have a safe space for it. But if you don't truly become accountable for your being and know that there's some things you can handle, there's some things you can't handle, and there's some things that you struggle with, then you're not going to help anybody else if you are giving them information that doesn't work for yourself. So you've got to be honest about your case study. And that's just as logically as you can get about it. Like, I don't know. I could go all day on that stuff. I get super into it because it's the only thing that's let me do what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Is I had to confront, like, there's a lot of people that are broken. Everyone else is broken. I'm broken. I'm not as broken as some people. But then again, they might look at me and say, well, I'm not as broken as that guy. So we're all in it. And it's so cliche. All of this crap is so cliche, but it is. But it's the truth, and that's why it's cliche. Is because truth is staring you in the eyeballs every day. You see it all the time in little snippets of different posts. But it's something that you've got to be intentional about finding.
100%.
And then being able to share it with others when you do find it. And you're 10 people out of your 500 people that you know on Facebook are actually going to relate. But those are the 10 people that it might actually change your life. 500 people, that's fine. That's exactly what you talk about. It's like finding that core market. Well, we've both heard the metric. You have 1,000 true followers that buy every piece of merch or whatever you put out there because you have done something in their life that someone else isn't able to do. You will thrive. You will never, ever need money again, ever. Because even though you're not even telling them how to make money, just your content has helped them realize something about themselves to be able to make a better life for themselves in their own way. They're going to support you forever.
100%.
It's a wild thing.
Well, and this is a new rule that I've adopted, which is that your value and self-worth and your knowledge and your experiences are usually the right person 10 times more valuable than you realize.
Yeah.
So it's weird. And I learned this too. And this kind of goes back into my story about selling Brand Yak, because the company that I was working on and building, I listed it on a website called Flippa, which I had tracked a lot of sales through. And I said, I don't know what this thing is worth. To me, it's not worth anything because it's me and freelancers. I don't have any employees.
Yeah.
All 1099.
You have a client list, contracts? Contracts? Okay.
Had some contracts, but everything's month to month.
Yeah.
In the agency world these days, unless you're doing like, longer term stuff where it's not marketing, you're doing infrastructure and stuff like that. But for marketing and those kinds of things, unless we build a website and charge you monthly, which we would do. But a lot of it was existing clients that just really loved me and me doing their stuff. And I'd talk to them, but then our whole team would go to work on it. So I thought, I'll try selling it. So I listed it and didn't hear anything for a long time until some gal, she messaged me and said, I want it. I want your company. And I said, are you sure? Do you know what it is? Because I listed it for a pretty decent price. And she goes, yeah, I've been looking for an agency.
6 figures?
No, under 6. And not a life-changing amount of money either.
Yeah.
Because not even
brand new diesel pickup now.
Yeah.
It's so expensive.
Anyways,
yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I bought a pickup. It does change my life.
Yeah.
But, it's just interesting to see what people find valuable. And turns out she's still running it and doing stuff with it. And the same thing too. So now we have a buddy. I told you about this on the phone. Graphic designer, straight out of college. He's really come under my wing because that's what I love to do as well. And so he started working in our office. Started training him on just things. Hey, I'm doing this project, whatever. Can I get your help on this? Whatever. Did a lot of apps and stuff with him. And because I would get random work stuff. It's like my thing now. I just do random stuff I find exciting. But anyways, taught him some stuff, but he taught himself a lot. He just did a lot of internet research. I just went to Rocky. I got him a cold email campaign set up where he got talking to this crypto company. It's very well funded because they do financing. So you can go borrow $100,000 worth of Bitcoin for 10%. Yeah. It's a big thing right now, and you can stake it on there and stuff like that. But they actually manage it. They're a finance company. There's a lot of them, so I can say which. I'm not going to drop the name of it because he told me not to. But next thing you know, he does 40 hours of freelancing with these people, and they hire him, and they go, "We want to bring you on full time." Well, how much? I mean, I can't say exactly how much. It's in the 6 figures.
Jeez.
And he took it.
Yeah.
And now he's working, and they only work him like 3 hours a day. And I'm like, that sounds awesome.
You're like, dude, give me a cut of that, dude. You weren't going to get that.
Yeah. In fact, I met the guy who brought him on, and I wanted him on my podcast.
Yeah.
Because I said, this is crazy. It was some guy that worked at Adobe and crazy stuff.
Big stuff. Yeah.
And to them, this guy is a designer. All he does is design websites and marketing material and just designer. He still does stuff, but it's hundreds of thousands of dollars, and he makes $500,000 on salary. That's why bringing Isaac on, or the guy on.
Kyle, can you get rid of that later?
was he said, "Oh, you'll do it for that?"
Wow.
That's you should really learn to up your prices, son. And so
it's insane what people think is what they think is valuable.
Yes,
dude, I never thought talking was
finding it.
Yeah,
because you'll eventually find the audience that likes you so much that you'll have 1,000 of them, which is the goal. There's 1,000 true fans. It actually grows from there. It's grassroots at that point.
Yeah.
Now, for this gentleman, we tried so many different things. He failed at 2 cold email campaigns. Didn't work. Didn't give him anything. The third one was super highly relational. Hey, I just noticed that you do this thing. I would just love to have a conversation. And if I can help you, I will. And I'll even do it for free. Or something like that. I don't think he said for free, but like very generously trying to create a relationship. And that worked really well for him. And then half the clients took advantage of him.
Yeah.
So it's not about giving those people the opinion either. Because it's really only 1% of the people that are going to say, if you come work for us for 6 figures, we'll be getting a steal from you, man. Versus everyone else that said, "Oh, you just did it for $200. I need my money back. This isn't what I wanted." And that happened and stuff to him at the same time. So you've also got to realize that you can't give people that leverage either, because he thought he was like not doing good.
Yeah.
Yo, man, how do you do? I just made like $1,000 this month, and then his business blew up too at the same time.
Yep.
Because we started finding his people. And then it just grew, and I think he's doing at least 5 figures before he's moving on to the job. So, yeah, it's crazy what happens.
That is insane, and it's just goes to show, like, you got to actually reach, though, for the stars and be okay with someone valuing you way more than what you think you're valued at. And that's why money isn't really necessarily a good metric to measure yourself by, because it'll ebb and flow. And you're going to have to change with the times to make sure that you stay, you have to still change yourself a little bit to be able to make sure that you stay up with it and in a space that's possible. But dude, money is so subjective nowadays. It's so subjective. I mean, you're still going to pay $40 for an oil change.
Yeah.
But it's subjective as to what it's worth going to or whatever. But man, we're getting long.
I know. What are we at?
It's an hour and 12 minutes right now. Hour 12.
Hour 12.
So in the previous
so we've got another 2 hours.
We had the previous one was an hour. I think we're right at 56 minutes or something.
Okay, yeah, we better.
And my pee clock is popping off.
Oh man,
go to the bathroom again.
All right, man. Get it. Hey, if people are still listening at this point, I feel like
just all long haul truck drivers.
yeah.
It's my buddies out there hauling cattle right now.
Yeah.
Wow, man, this has been fantastic. Is there anything else that you want to cover? You're just gonna have to come back on, dude.
Come back, yeah.
I can just tell that you can talk for a long time, super enthusiastically, and we could go for a while. But I would rather come back and we'll get fresh on it and figure out what else we can go to cover, because we already dedicated ourselves to a grind there. Now we got to go and work on this.
Yeah, we're actually gonna go work downtown at our office.
At your office.
Yeah,
so
that's
I'm gonna
gonna
go
be
see
fun.
what the
One thing I'll say. I'm not gonna promote Meeting Pair or anything on here. Feel free to check it out if you want to. Especially if you're an agency. I mean, we might be able to help. But one thing that I am working on personally, and I'm very open about it, is so I built a website for Jake Paul.
Oh yeah, dude. We haven't even touched like the people that you've actually worked with. I don't think we need to validate you.
No, it's not about validating. Actually, what I want it to be is a experiment.
Yeah.
Because so I built it, and if you'll notice, if you follow Jake on Instagram, he's talking a lot about it right now. It's called Boxing Bullies.
Okay.
I built the whole design for it. Now, with that in mind, if you go to boxingbullies.com, I think the developers botched it. It looks bad to me. It's not good on mobile. So I'm actually coming back to their team, directly to Jake's team. I'm pitching an app, a fitness app for boxing.
Okay.
That involves crypto.
Okay.
And a redesign of that flow.
It's right up Jake Paul's alley.
I know. Sold, bro. He's so big into NFTs, but I don't have direct access to Jake.
Okay.
but I do have direct access to his team. And it's a pretty funny story how that project worked out. One night I was supposed to, because I overthought this project.
Okay. Yeah.
By a ton. I just want to tell the story.
You will. Yeah.
What?
You'll overthink it when it's someone that
Yeah. It was so random how I got it through this connection. And I just sat on it for a few weeks and I just was like, what do I even do? And then, a week later, hey, can we see a mock up or whatever? And yeah, let me get it to you by Friday night, the end of the week. And so I kind of overthought it. I'm out with Kate at the Brimrock Mall. And I get an email at 5:30 on Friday night. Hey, we're all hanging out. Jake's here. We got the big screen up. Can you go ahead and just send over that mock-up link? We're in Miami, and this is 2 weeks before his fight. And I'm eating a churro, and I haven't really started. And so at the mall, and I go, oh, Kate's like, what is wrong? I go, I kind of overthought this whole Jake Paul thing. I need to go work on it right now. Yeah. And so I emailed him, and I'm like, okay, give me 4 hours. If you guys are going to be hanging out tonight a little bit at Jake's house in Miami, and I'll get it to you and you can throw it up on the big screen and see what he thinks. So I went home.
What?
And I grinded so hard, and all the ideas that I'd been thinking about and not actually doing anything with just came to life. Put it all in a mock-up link using Adobe XD, sent it to Jake's team. I see that because it's kind of like Figma, or a good comparison would be Google Drive, where you can see other people in there.
Yeah.
I see a bunch of people pop in. I get one comment on it, and it was under Jake's name. It said, dope. And that was it. That was at like 10:30 at night.
Have you heard back? What's going on?
Dude.
Things are happening?
Okay.
Or what?
Here's another thing, because I'll have to update this if I come back.
Yeah.
Jake's really likes this thing. And there's a lot of video. If you go to Jake's YouTube, you'll find a lot of Boxing Bullies content. He went out and he did a thing in Puerto Rico, a real Boxing Bullies event. Mm-hmm. And then after the Tyron Woodley fight 2, he had a real in-life fundraiser that raised $3 million for it.
Wow.
The website's at $500,000 in fundraising, because I built a little ticker in there at the top that shows how much funding it got through Stripe. And basically, he's prioritizing it as a project. But guess what? I wrote all the copy for that, and they never changed it.
Oh, boy.
So it just goes to show, like, that's why I tell people about this. Oh, yeah, I worked with Jake or whatever, but I don't actually, like, know how, you and I, obviously, if you listen to this episode, people like you and me were pretty deep on missions and things. I basically wrote all their kind of mission stuff, what we are, what we do, and they just kind of waved it, and we're like, awesome. So they don't really care that much, and I don't even know what it does. It's just, I think it's a training camp now and then or something. But it goes to show that celebrities out there, especially ones like that might be into crypto, that might be into like having their own thing or program, which the Paul brothers have made a business program. Be very cautious. Just because they have a big name doesn't mean that they're actually that reputable. Just because
or they're filtering the content that they get to put out to others.
Because like, it was the first project that I got paid good dollars to do, where there was no revisions.
Yeah.
And that's just weird to me. I was like, are you sure?
Yeah.
They liked it. He said dope on it and stuff. And so it's weird to think that, but I don't know why that is necessarily. I mean, maybe it was just good copy. I don't know.
Well, I think here, hold on.
Okay.
Let me throw my 2 cents on this, and then we can wrap it up. But I think Jake has learned by failing, and he would rather throw something out there and test it and see how other people react than necessarily changing things to the way that he thinks is going to work.
Yeah.
Like, he looks at it. He knows what the people like. There's a good possibility, dude. Jake Paul, Logan Paul, David Dobrik, these guys, they didn't go out and build a social media platform, but they know what people like.
Yeah.
And so much of what Jake does, if his name's on it, dude, people are going to eat that up. And so he just has to make sure that it's 70% there or 80% there, and then he'll throw it up and he'll do it. And I think also, though, another point to this is you've done this a ton. One night when we were hanging out, you showed me. Yeah, we had a little sleepover there. Radical
we did.
You showed me. Fun. You opened up your numbers and everything, and you showed me all of your stuff on your laptop. And you like had some ideas that night that you were like, "I want to mock this up." Like, I just had this thought the other day. I might stay up a couple hours later, and I went to bed, I think, and I woke up, and you were still working on stuff. It was like 2:00 in the morning, and you had fabbed up a full website that looked like tomorrow a Fortune 500 company is going to pick that up and rep it somewhere. And I was just like, what? And I realized at that point that you are a person of action. You don't just talk about it, or I just talk about things.
Well, but did I do anything with that mock-up?
You didn't do anything with the mock-up, but you made the mock-up. And the mock-up is worth the money. The mock-up is like, yeah, it would have taken me freaking 3 weeks to go find a development crew, go test 2 or 3 development crew, and then those guys would take 3 weeks just to put together the thing together. And do you think Jake Paul like has the time for that? No. He's like, we're also stuck in this hourly mentality that it's like, well, if I don't work enough hours, I'm not going to get paid for this thing. Yeah. But you did it and put it together, copyrighted all of this stuff in 4 hours, by the way. 4 hours.
Which is crazy because, and that's a whole nother thing. But
but that's the point though, is like, it was dope. It was just a 4-letter word, dope.
Yeah.
Or, it's like the guy, like, he knows talent when he sees it, and he knows when a product's good enough to get out there. And everyone else and their dog thinks, well, it's got to be perfect. It's got to be good. It's got to be. No, you said it in my first 2 episodes. No, I think they're junk, but you're like, nah, that worked. It was good enough.
Yeah, that's true.
Dope. And that's what you've got to think is dope. And those are the people that you really want to work with, because they're the ones that are just going to be like, yeah, I'm not that worried about it failing. And if it does, we'll change it. I mean, these guys have gone through what people think is scam after scam after scam. Yeah. And I'm a nice guy, so I'm going to go ahead and give them the benefit of the doubt and say, no, I think they're trying something.
Yes. And where I'm going with Jake now.
Yeah.
Because it's out there. I see him putting the priority on the project.
Yeah.
Because he literally, I don't know, he had a post a few days ago. He's with his wife. It's a pretty
I didn't
absurd.
Even know he was married, dude.
Yeah, that girl he's always with, they're married.
Yeah, that girl they're always with.
But you wouldn't know from the pictures of them. It looks like his side person that he would hang out with. Because she's,
Okay, all right. Well.
I don't know how to
side
say
chick,
that. Yeah, it's a side chick. It looks like that. But they're
all
married.
Respect, because we're probably gonna be hanging out with Jake Paul very soon.
So hey, great gal.
Yeah. So like,
well, I don't know. I don't know him. That's the other thing. I don't know him.
Yeah, we're making light of the situation.
Yeah, I don't know him, but so I see him doing this stuff with that whole program, which is great. Maybe he's got a plan. I don't understand what it does for kids, but here's what I want to do with it. And I'm going to pitch this to his team, is I want to have that app that's well built, because if his name goes on it as a fitness app that competes with Nike Run Club and these fitness apps and Peloton and these home workout stuff that connects to your Apple Watch, and you get points that can be traded into crypto, and it's a game, and it's got Jake's name on it, sign it $1 billion check. I think that's worth a lot of money.
I think it's going to be worth a lot of money because you find value in it and you actually care enough to go back and try to fix it.
Yeah.
And I think that he's going to see that. And that's the thing, is you don't want to look like a scam to him. So if you decide to do that, you have to follow it through and through and be like, all right, I got meeting parent, that stuff's cool and that's going on. You got to take care of your team. You got to take care of those people. But if you're going to actually follow that up, Jake will probably give you opportunities that you've never ever seen coming in your life.
I've dreamed it.
Yeah.
In fact, I met Jake in a tree once. And
you creep, dude.
Dude, it's
Stalker,
weird.
Dude.
No, but I literally handed my business card and I said, "Hey, I built your Boxing Blaze website."
Yeah.
He's like, he didn't know. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, no, I really think I can do something here. And he went for it in this idea I had, and he was like, heck yeah. And it just turned into, he gave me like 6 other things to do too.
A lot of those guys, they do that though. They just go to their audience and they go, hey, who actually likes this brand enough to actually edit my videos and know you guys watch it so you know what we need.
Yeah.
Like no one ever, like in the future, you're only going to work for people that you like. You're not going to go work for a company because you like the infrastructure. And they're only going to hire you if you've seen the last 10 whatever products. I think now we're starting to find out that just people wanting to do something is worth way more money than people being trained to do something. Them necessarily being trained doesn't mean anything. If they actually like your product so much that they're willing to give a little bit of value to you, you can find any job you want. I mean, you can hit up any YouTuber you want, and if you watch all of their videos, give their time to do that, and then send them some kind of just information in the comment that's just like, hey, I bet people are clicking off within 10 minutes because you didn't actually get the message like you typically get out. And if they see that on every, like for 5 videos even, and they're noticing it, they're reading it, and they're like, yep, this kid's spot on with our analytics. He knows exactly what's going on. Clearly, he needs to come on the team. It just happened for Graham Stephan. He just did that.
Yes.
He's financer. He hired one of his guys just like that. And then they're even hiring a kid that's been commenting in the comments and saying, yeah, this thumbnail didn't work. I bet you only got 20%. Or I bet it only got, and he's guessing it right every time. He's 13 years old. Insane.
13. See, that's crazy to me.
Building thumbnails, dude. It's insane.
Well,
it's intuition. It's all about intuition.
And that's what we do at Meeting Pair.
Yeah.
Because we're looking at those opportunities where, and here's what we say to all of our clients. Find something that you already know is happening inside their head.
Yep.
Because a DM that goes, hey, would you come on my podcast? And then one that goes, looked at your analytics, think these 3 things could really help because I noticed that you're dropping off here, which you're probably noticing when you go to your main dashboard. And he's going, I've been thinking about that all week.
Yeah.
How do you know? I at least got to talk to this kid. They click on the profile. If there's good stuff about analytics and a little bit of a presence there, boom, hit him up and take him on. Yeah, exactly. Pre-sale.
That's it.
So yeah, find your talent and figure out who it helps. And don't be afraid to.
It could be the simplest thing in the world.
Yeah.
To you, it could be like, I actually enjoy this. I just sit here and watch these videos, but because I watch these videos, I know. It could be the easiest, simplest thing in the world. Give some value to somebody, and man, they will take you to the moon if they're the right person. If there's somebody you actually want to work for, they will pick you up and take you.
And why not?
Why not? Why not? You can teach anybody anything now. If that kid only needs to learn 2 or 3 more skills, and he's pretty much a paid professional because that's all everyone else does. I'd rather have the intuition. That was my Take Initiative dream, dude. Right. That was what Take Initiative was.
I know, and I'm really passionate about it too.
It's insane
because there's so much talent out there. When I found that kid that does the TikTok, I was up. This was 2 nights ago. I was up all night. I was so pumped about this kid's talent, and he's being underutilized. So we're gonna boost him to the moon by having him be the freelancer behind this brand the thing I'm really good at, which is getting clients for.
Yep, dude. Cold email is a weapon, dude.
You know,
I can't wait till I can afford you, bro. Afford you for this podcast, bro.
We're about to go work after this. I'll give you a lot of secrets.
You'll give me the secrets. My problem is I'm literally good at sitting in this chair and talking.
Yeah.
Kyle's a blessing, dude. Because if I had to run that board, I would not be near as into this freaking conversation with you.
I know.
Like that means so much to me. At some point, I'm going to pay a lot of money for someone to just hit those buttons. And seriously, like that's because I'm worth so much more money sitting here being interested in who you are, because people can sense that, they can feel that.
Yeah.
I'm going to pay a lot of money, sadly.
No, that's a blessing.
Yeah.
To be able to pay that, because you're changing somebody else's life and creating a whole culture around it. And that's just the whole thing with the world we live in. And that never was a possibility. Your parents couldn't go, hey, I want to work for Madonna or whatever. And whatever. I don't know. Maybe a few people had that option, but
you had to get on a plane and go there, but or get on a train and go there.
Write them a letter or something. I don't know.
Or just show up at every show and say,
which is probably how a lot of people did it.
Dude, you know how many groupies get hired for bands? Probably it's insane, dude. No, I don't know all of them, but that's something we can talk about later on. Kyle knows a little bit about that, but I know groupies get hired. Like that sounds bad, but it's
proximity.
It's proximity. It's
Can't tell you how many times we thought about bringing on our other guy, who's the freelancer I was talking about earlier. I mean, there was so many opportunities. I mean, we even paid him to do some projects too, just proximity. Oh, you design this.
Yep.
And then it's that. And then next thing it turns into a job or whatever.
Be available.
Yeah. Be available. Be open to the people that you want to be like, as far as, because their advice is so valuable. Yeah. Because everyone's got advice. Parents got advice. Grandma's got advice. Yep. But if you don't want to live a life like them, you got to pick the people you want to be around that you want to be like. And then their value just is tremendous, which is like why I have Ryan in my ear all the time. I hope to be a guy like him someday, and other really gracious business owners and people that are kind of mindful that way. Sounds like a buzzword, but I'm going with it.
Yeah, I like it.
All right, yeah, we do got to wrap up.
Let's shut this down. Give us your plugs. Do the thing. Whatever you got to do. What do you got going on? What do you got going on in your life?
Here's my plan. I am starting a personal brand, but it's going to be off of not my real one. So it's, I think I just started the Instagram page. It's reese.c.queen.
Okay.
Because that's my TikTok. Okay. And I want to talk some business stuff. I keep doing these coaching calls with clients of ours, especially when they're not getting results, and the person respects me enough to listen to my opinion on stuff. Oh, I jam out on those coaching calls with them. Yeah. And I feel so alive. And you and I both share that. Dude, why this conversation has lasted so long. Mm-hmm. So I want to coach a little more, and I want to put the material that when I'm coaching somebody, one of our clients, I want to put that out on that Instagram page. So some business stuff, some TikToks. So that's where you'll be able to find me. Is it live yet? No. And so the thing is if you want to follow me as a person, I'm just reese.queen.
Okay.
And that's just like, mostly pictures of my wife because she's absolutely gorgeous. So I put her all over my Instagram.
Pimp her out on
makes
there.
me
Okay.
makes me feel. Wow, come on. Now it makes me feel a lot better. You know, I'm just put some beautiful people in there.
It's her walking, her
Yeah.
hand back, your
Yeah,
hand.
my other TikTok, dude. That did well. That did well. So yeah, that's what I'm up to. Hoping to continue growing Meeting Pair. I'll let you guys know if I ever come back about this app and what that'll turn into, and if I get into a boardroom or a pitch for that, it'd be pretty cool to see what that turns into. Or hey, maybe you'll just spot it on the App Store and say, hey, I think I know a guy that actually thought of this, even though even though he'll claim to have been like, I had this idea.
How you get? Just keep on repping this podcast and keep coming back.
You bet, man.
It'd be great. But all right, dude. Thank you so much for coming on, Reese. You're a huge inspiration in my life. You're somebody that has really stuck with me through the ups and downs and trying to promote me to, or really push me to do this. And you guys that are listening, you can definitely thank Reese for a lot of what's going on here. So, guys, thanks for checking in. Thanks for listening. You can always check us out on, we're going to be better about posting YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Kyle's going to make sure I get on Google Play at some point today or within the next couple days. I don't know. We're going to work on some of that and we'll get that done. But thanks a bunch, Reese. Kyle McLean, thank you so much for producing this podcast.
Yes.
He's sitting in the chair. He had to listen through this whole 3 hours.
Yeah. Kyle's crushing it.
Yeah, he's killing it. We got to get him a mic, and then me and
yeah, that's got to be one of the episodes.
Yeah, we're going to interview him one day and we'll chat about that. But all right, guys, thank you so much again. And we're logging off for now. See you in the next one.
Peace.
Peace.
I was standing outside waiting for you. You were always taking time, baby, playing it through.